He's managed to get himself on the inside, but he's caught up on the curve. Sean Allen, the outside special. We've had a huge crash. This can't be real.
I think he might have this job done finally. Ethan Warren gives him no space. He's in the wall. Turn point. He's taking out Brodie Steen as well.
Oh, big moment there. Kurt Stenberg on his roof. Big crash in turn 4. That is an unfortunate huge crash. Oh, the huge wiggle on thought he was clear.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the second round of the Automobilista Supercars Championship for the Melbourne 200. It's fair to say that it's been a pretty turbulent couple of weeks in the world since the first round, and Madbird, we're here to take everyone's mind off it because, frankly, I'm sick of hearing about it.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Stairs. I am well and truly ready to forget about this coronavirus rubbish for a little bit. It's not rubbish, obviously.
Oh, yes.
It's quite
Wash your
serious.
hands, people, but yes.
But yes, wash your hands, stay isolated if you are sick. In the meantime, we're here to talk about some bloody pretend race cars, Stairs.
We certainly are. So let's have a quick look at the race classification from last round. Ethan Warren in race 1, getting the win over Brodie Steen, and Jake Moloney rounding out the podium. Sean Allen in 4th place as Madbird drops his phone on my desk.
My bad.
Dane Warren, after copping a drive-through penalty, finished in 5th. Colin Warwick in 6th. Thomas Paul, Thomas McMillan, Stephen Birchall, and Zach Baker rounded out the top 10 in race number 1.
It was a dominant race from Ethan Warren, I think, that one.
It most certainly was.
And then his brother, Dane Warren, took out the cookies in the second race, followed by Jake Moloney, who showed again that starting from the back of the grid is no guarantee that he will not be finishing on the podium. Brodie Steen with another solid finish for RaceOnOz. Colin Warwick in 4th. David Nedidich, the first of the lapped runners, with Zach Baker, his teammate, right behind. Jinx, Termo, Jack Handel, and RSM Latino rounding out the top 10.
Yes, now despite the dominance from the Warren brothers, it's Jake Moloney and Brodie Steen who share the joint lead of the championship with 267 points apiece. So they both got a 1st and a 3rd place from... I say from memory, we just looked at it.
2nd and a 3rd place.
That's right. So that's why they're both sharing the lead of the championship ahead of Dane Warren, who's not that far behind, mind you.
No, just 6 points there.
Just 6 points, and then Colin Warwick had a good round with 222 points. Zach Baker in 5th place ahead of Ethan Warren. Jack Handel in 7th place. RSM Latino in 8th place. Sean Allen and David Nenadich round out the top 10 in the points for the drivers. Now, Madbird, we're going to turn our attention to the team's points classification now, and obviously the Warren brothers leading that one with RaceOnOz, the defending champions, in 2nd.
Yeah, we've got ZB Racing for Zach Baker and David Nedidich in 3rd place, not too far behind. And not too far behind them is Stealth Penrite Racing, the Colin Warwick team, and Trans Tasman Racing, only in 5th. They're not going to be too happy with that after a pretty disappointing first round of the championship. Kelly Racing in 6th. RSM Racing 2, somewhat unsatisfyingly ahead of RSM Racing. And then JP Simshed and MP Simsport rounding out the top 10, tied on 96.
And let's have a quick look at the race classification from last night's Super 2 races with Brett Jarrett's taking out race 1 of the night, race 3 in the championship there, ahead of Stephen Burko, who's been consistently finishing 2nd all throughout this championship so far. RSM Latino in 3rd place from Tony in 4th. Another driver who likes to stick with a single position for all of his results. Matt Cecil in 5th. Rory Smythe in 6th ahead of Brapp, who I believe is watching the broadcast, and that rounds out the top 5. Race 4, it was Stephen Burko who got the win. Got an early jump when Brett Jarrett's had a bit of a spin at the start. Quite a few cars spinning on that race. Steve Warwick was on target, Madbird, for his first podium, but then spun on the last lap, elevating Brapp and Tony onto the podium.
It's a damn shame. Looks like it was a close finish as well between Brapp and Tony, so excellent stuff from the Super 2 guys, with Brett Jarrett's, as you said, finishing in 5th, rounding out the top 5 for race 4.
And that's all that's been. Let's have a look at what is currently, and here is the end of the practice session. The timer has hit 0, so it looks like we're going to roll into qualifying very soon. And if you do want to catch up with all the live timing and results, you can visit rsmclanau.liveraces.com and you can follow along as we do.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what we're looking at here. Shows you all of their positions on track, shows you when someone's on a hot lap. You see the purple sectors lighting up, so it's very handy for us, and definitely for all of you watching if you want to keep a closer eye on your favourites' progress. Looks like Dayne Warren was the class of the field during practice, about 1.6 seconds ahead of second place man Sean Allen, but doesn't really matter what you do in practice. All comes down to qualifying, which is coming right up.
But look at that time. The 151.3 has already beaten last year's qualifying lap record, set, of course, also by Dayne Warren. That was a 151.47, so he's found a 10th on his best from last year.
I guarantee you he will find more than that during qualifying. That's blisteringly quick.
Well, let's have a quick look at the racetrack now before we head into this qualifying session. And here we are in Melbourne, Albert Park, for the race that wasn't in real life but will be in sim racing. We do have some distinct advantages here in the virtual world. So that's the start-finish line, running down to a great overtaking opportunity at turns 1 and 2, another one at turns 3, and then lots of switchbacks, 4th and 5th, very unlike a street circuit. Turns 9 and 10, another overtaking opportunity. Turn 11 and 12, a quick switchback into the back part of the racetrack. Turn 13, turn 14, turn 15, and turn 16.
Absolutely, and that is the Melbourne Albert Park Grand Prix circuit.
So we've got a 15-minute qualifying session. Drivers will get, I believe it's six sets of tyres for the race weekend, and that is going to be probably not a huge deciding factor compared to Adelaide was a little bit less than that and they had longer to run. So the car's just waiting for the timer to start ticking down. We're on 15 minutes now.
Just looking, so it looks like Steve Burko and Stephen Warwick have both taken the call up from Super 2, so they will be competing in the main dance. The main dance. Sorry, good to have them here, of course.
Absolutely.
We've got 16 in the field. And it looks like everybody's getting out all at once. I can't see anybody lounging around in the pits.
And I believe it's Thomas Vermeulen who's made it out onto the racetrack first of anyone. So he's got a lovely, lovely stretch of clear track right in front of him, Madbird.
In that lovely, lovely VB Pleb Sim Sport car. Definitely a choice beverage.
I'd say a fan favourite too.
Absolutely. He can be bloody quick on his day, can Thomas McMillan, but he is also, to put it generously, inconsistent. Yeah,
he's got a bit of a habit of throwing it at the scenery, and usually before the opening act has come to a close. But he did speak to us when we visited the Bathurst 12 Hour early on in the year, and he did mention to us that he's aiming for a bit more consistency this year and perhaps even a championship, but time will tell on that one.
Absolutely. He's, as I said, he can be bloody quick, although you're not going to be going around that corner too quick if you're sideways, which he just was. I saw during practice a few people getting very loose through turn 10, which is quite a fast. You're full throttle as you're coming out of another corner, so it can be a little bit tricky, and probably a lot of these guys not as familiar with Albert Park as we would be as former Cody's Formula One racers. Race this car more times than I can count. This track, sorry, more times than I can count.
Two cars still set up in the pit lane: Aidan Schultz and Dayne Warren. Ooh. So the man who set the benchmark in practice is just sitting back and watching in isolation to see what. Sorry, we said we wouldn't talk about it today. To see what the others can throw at him in terms of a benchmark. So we're going to watch Thomas McMillan here and see what he can throw down for the other drivers.
Absolutely. So good late braking into the first turn. You have to get nice and deep onto it, but you don't want to go too deep, or you go straight out into the gravel, and then you can accelerate all the way through that second turn as you come onto this sort of long curving straight, which is a contradiction of terms, but nevertheless, into turn 3, you want to get it nice and tight because there's a lot of runoff there that you don't want to go into. And it's almost like the staircase section at Adelaide. It's a couple of right-hand turns. Looks like he has a little wiggly on the exit, but he's managed to hold it all together. And nice and wide there on the exit across that little bit of runoff area, which is there to be used. And nice and tight through into turn 6, I believe. Yes, turn 6.
Yep.
Now around turn 8. Nice and close to the wall, but not too close. And then into turn 9. This is that one I was talking about earlier. You've got to be on the power early, but you can easily run wide, and he does.
Oh.
Into the wall a little bit. Won't have lost too much speed there, but every little bit counts. This is quite a long and straight, quite a long and fast curving straight.
Yeah, curving straight. Straight's probably not the adjective I would have used. Here's the switchback, turns 11 and 12. Terrific opportunity here, Madbird, to set up for an overtake down into 13.
Absolutely. That's a confidence section of corners is turns 11 and 12. If you're a little bit more bold going into it than the guy in front of you, then you can easily be right on him coming out of it. And as you say, into turn 13, can be an easy overtake if you've got all that momentum. A little bit slidey there coming through turn 14. And then, of course, we've got turn 15, which is much tighter than you think it is. Gets a little bit oversteery on the exit, but manages to hold on to it. I don't think this is going to set the timing screens alight, but it is nevertheless our first time on the board, and it will be a 1:52.451.
Good lap there from Thomas McMillan. David Nenadic actually has been setting some quick times. Fastest, I was going to say it was fastest middle sector. Thomas, Sean Allen's actually gone fastest in the first sector, and so that is the sort of form that he was showing early on last round, Madbird. But good to see that the ZB guys have got their livery sorted for this round.
Yeah, a lot more liveries this time around. I can only see 2 black ones looking at our spotters guide, so that is very good to see. We did sort of beg them last round to please get their liveries in. It looks like they've listened. It's nice to see these cars back on track again after a little bit of a dull-looking field, it must be said, last round.
Yeah, even the blank liveries are they've given us a flat colour now, so we might be able to differentiate them from one another. Look who's made it onto the racetrack, Madbird.
Finally, Dane Warren. He likes to make it difficult for himself. He's still got 10 minutes. Sean Allen goes quickest by the looks of it, with a 1:52.2, so just a little bit faster than Thomas McMillan.
Yeah, but Thomas McMillan's going faster again. He's done the fastest first sector by a margin, or by a small margin, I should say, over Sean Allen. So let's go and look at this lap from Thomas McMillan and see if he can continue to have a positive delta here on Sean Allen.
Absolutely. So through turn 13, it looked like a pretty good run through
I meant to cut away from it there.
through the switchback of turns 11 and 12. So it looks like he's on track at the moment. We won't know. He's past the second sector split already, and it was quick. It was faster than his own time. It was not a purple sector.
No, he's down on Sean Allen now though, because he was about 1/10 and a half slower. Through the second sector was Thomas McMillan on Sean Allen, but it's all about the final sector here.
Oh!
And he gets it by 1/10, so Thomas McMillan has returned serve here on Sean Allen. An interesting battle so far. I'm just trying to keep an eye out and see when Dane Warren starts his lap. He's not setting any times at the moment, so it looks like he's still probably in the first sector of his qualifying laps. We'll try and find him.
He's just coming through sector 3 now, coming up to turn 13. I'm not sure if he's on his cooldown lap, or sorry, his warm-up lap still.
Probably his out lap. In fact, he's trying to find a gap in the traffic. He's trying to warm his tyres.
Someone that fast is going to find some traffic very quickly, I imagine. He's got someone coming up behind him. I hope that's not someone on their hot lap.
We're just going to check Sean Allen while we're waiting. In fact, it might be Sean Allen. No, Sean Allen's on a cooldown lap himself. Yeah. I can see he's not pushing, so we'll cut back to Dane Warren this time, and just keep an eye on the timing screens to see if we can find anyone else. Quite a few people watching along. Don't hesitate to have a bit of a chat to us in the live chat. We love to see your comments coming through.
Absolutely. Gives us something to talk about when we've got a little lull. But we've got Dane Warren here heading on down towards turn 3. He's looking quick so far, but looks can be deceiving. Not usually, though, with Dane Warwick.
Just going to see David Nenadic come across the line, and he goes third. In fact, he already was third, looks like. Oh, no, sorry, 4/10 down on the leader. So
So Dayne Warren not blowing us away currently with his times. Actually, I lie. He doesn't actually have a sector time yet, so...
just trying to find him on the track. We've lost him momentarily.
Talking nonsense. There he is. So we got coming through to turn 9.
Yeah, turn 9 and 10 now out of the chicane. And
he's purple through the first sector.
He most certainly is. So we'll get a second sector split in a very short amount of time. Coming up to, let's see how Dayne Warren tackles turns 11 and 12. Absolutely no margin on the inside of the wall there. He's up by 4/10, Madbird. That is significant. All over the curb on the exit there. 2 wheels in the dust as he comes down to turn 13.
For his sake, I really hope that was not a track cut. It was quite wide, but he still seems to be pushing, so hopefully not. He is on the run down to turn 14 now, and in the closing stages of this lap, he has looked quick, especially, as you said, through the switchback, 11-12. I think that is going to be the corner, or the corners, that make or break most of the laps around this track. As he comes out of the final corner, nice and wide on the runoff, and onto the straight, he is going to set, I believe this will be provisional pole, and it is by almost 8/10 of a second.
Yeah, he's found another 4/10 in that final sector, so it wasn't a track cut, as we might have suspected. And good to know that these guys can take a couple of liberties with the racetrack, and Dayne Warren, I suspect, will be coming into the pits on this lap. Let's have a look at Kurt Stenberg, who's about to start a lap, currently sat up in 6th place. Jake Moloney's quietly got himself up into 4th there, Madbird. Championship leader, joint championship leader with Brodie Steen, who's down there in 8th place. And Dominic Ferraris is in 7th place. He had a strong running in Adelaide.
Absolutely, yeah. It's a couple of names that we're not used to seeing up towards the top. Jake Moloney obviously is one of them, but Dominic Ferraris, who's a new name, and Brodie Steen he's usually there or thereabouts, but not quite towards the front. So he did well to sneak onto the podium in both races last round.
He's currently in the pit lane.
Michael Zalavari in the chat's just saying, howdy lads. Howdy, Michael.
Good to have you with us, Michael.
Bloody oath.
Yes.
Dayne Warren going fast. So he hasn't come in. He's got another purple sector. 5 more tenths.
Thomas McMillan's also on an outlap. So yeah, Dayne Warren clearly had speed to burn. He's beaten last year's qualifying record with that lap, the 51.3. That's very close to the time he set in practice, Madbird. And it goes even wider this time. That's not the same one. I should have turned my Steam notifications off.
That was through turn 13. So he got very wide there, just avoided taking out the brake marker board. So hopefully not a track cut, but definitely pushing the very limits of this track is Dayne Warren, and let's see if it's paid off for him. I reckon it will have. This is looking like it's going to be bloody quick.
And it is. That's a 50.7. So
he's obliterated last year's lap record by the better part of, 7-8 tenths. That's significant.
That's ominous signs for the rest. His brother Ethan, conspicuous by his absence tonight, so that's unfortunate that we haven't got him to give Dayne a little bit of a run for his money, because by the looks of it, Dayne's going to run away with it. Kurt Stenberg has qualified up into 2nd place, and those of you who were with us in the opening round would know that Kurt Stenberg had an absolute disaster of a round 1. Didn't even make the start because of a flash storm that lasted all of 15 minutes and knocked his power out.
Absolutely, and so he went to a friend's place to use their rig, was told that the power was back on at his place, so rushed back home, and the power promptly went back out again. So the number 1, which he said was a bad, which is usually bad luck for him, which he's currently sporting this season as he was the champion last season, is definitely proving to be as unlucky as he had feared so far.
Yes, but I mean, we do have a drop round available in this series, and I did do a feature on points, which we'll see later on in the broadcast, where we can sort of get a handle on why the first round disaster for Kurt might not be as bad as first thought.
Absolutely. Got Tom Reed saying hello. Hello, Tom Reed. Stick Death 1980. That Stick Death being a fantastic website, I must say. Mm-hmm. Saying go Brodie. Absolutely. Brodie Steen currently in 9th. HB111. G'day fellas. Keen to see some battles if Stenny and McMillan last Thursday night is any hint of what's to come.
Yeah, well, that's a good point, actually. He's referring to the Automobilista Australia Supercars Championship, in which Thomas McMillan and Kurt Stenberg both participated. Kurt Stenberg has won 4 out of 4 races in that championship, as Thomas McMillan jumps up into second place ahead of Kurt Stenberg there.
Still a second behind Dane Warren, I feel the need to point out.
I
Ridiculous.
have a feeling these two are going to have a pretty tasty battle over second place, though, given what we saw on Thursday night. And shout out to Hans Brunswick and Steve De Vries, friends of ours, Madbird, who cover the Automobilista Australia Supercars Championship and doing a terrific job as well.
Absolutely. Love your work, Nether, if you happen to be watching. And I'm guessing that's who HB111 is Hans Brunswick, perhaps?
Could be.
Maybe.
Could be. I would
if
say.
it is Hi, I've never
Shout
met
out
you.
Hans.
but you seem like a lovely fella.
He is a lovely fella and knows his supercars. Puts us both to shame, I would say.
Definitely puts me to shame. I've got no idea what I'm talking about, but I'm here nevertheless. Tom Reed.
We are referred to by Colin Warwick and Kurt Stenberg as the professionals.
Yes.
So that gives us
that's exaggerated somewhat.
quite a moniker to live up to.
I'm actually feeling pressure now. Tom Reed.
Speaking of Colin Warwick, here he is. In 11th. Beg your pardon, I talked over you.
You're fine.
Continue.
Tom Reed just saying, do you race at all the V8 Supercars tracks on the real life calendar? Yes, we do.
We do. However, there is a caveat. Because the calendar is a little bit up in the air right now due to current circumstances, as Colin Warwick has a lovely slide through turn 5, I think that was.
Points for stylish.
Exactly. The round in New Zealand, which was slated to take place in Hampton Downs, may well revert back to Pukekohe for this championship, because Pukekohe is a much more popular circuit than Hampton Downs. So that's just a little by the by. I'm not sure if that was officially said to me or whether it was said in confidence, but it's certainly not in confidence anymore. It's out. It's out like grandma's aunties. Aunties? Undies.
Out like grandma's aunties. SDS Racing saying, good luck, boys. Thank you very much. And I'm a Carr, who is, of course, Chris Carr / Wayne Carr. You guys are so much better than Stenny and Cole's broadcasting ability. In fairness, we have many years of practice.
And also, they're much better drivers than we are.
Yes, exactly. So, we've all got our particular skill sets.
We should enter in the Super 2 Championship.
Should we?
Just for a laugh.
Yeah?
Yeah. Embarrassingly, we'll probably get destroyed, because they're starting to have some pretty competitive times in the Super 2
I can imagine
championship. It's come up in leaps and bounds since we commentated just about 5 or 6 months ago the Bathurst 250. Actually, was it you and me, or was it Bagsy?
No, it was me.
Bagsy commentated on the top 10 shootout with me.
Yes.
And Jake Moloney has had an off somewhere. Don't know exactly what's happened to him.
Looks like he's just pulled over.
See if we can... Yeah, but the car looks like it's on a bit of a slant there. I just want to see if I can find a replay here.
Maybe tore a wheel off.
Just looking at it now. He's gone wide eye and he's just...
Straight into the wall.
Into the wall,
he's
yeah.
kept out of the way. Good man.
So the front left looks like it's a bit down on that picture. And
Just
he's
a little
gone
bit.
back to the garage, so... And so is the other car that we were following. So
and just like that qualifying session is over. So
well done to Dane Warren, who was unbeatable in that qualifying session.
That's insane. I just cannot believe that time. 1 second
faster than second place man Thomas McMillan. Kurt Stenberg in third place.
Yeah, absolutely. Sean Allen in fourth at the moment, with Jake Moloney in fifth. Dominic Ferraris currently in sixth, but still out on track, so may improve. Although we don't have any timing for him at the moment, so he may have cut the track somewhere. David Adelaide in 7th, Zach Baker in 8th, Alex Castle in 9th, and Brodie Steen roads out? Brodie Steen rounds out the top 10 is the word that I was looking for there. HB111, you're spot on, fellas. Professionals indeed. Thank you very much. We know it. John McDonald saying, come into Super 2. Perhaps. I feel like we would be quickly exposed, especially me. Stairs is bloody quick, but I'm...
Oh, that's when I practiced. I'm very rusty at the moment. A bit of word coming through that we aren't hearing the cars, so apologies for that. We'll try and get that rectified for the race. But in the meantime, we're going to take a quick break. Don't go anywhere.
Hello everyone, let's talk about points today. So, what do you get just for winning a race? Well, in most rounds, 150 points is your reward for coming across the line in first place. Second place gets you 138, Third place gets you to 129. I'm not going to read them all out because you can obviously read, most of you. And if you go down to 25th place, you still get 30 points. So worst case scenario in a race where every single car finishes the race and you come dead last, you're still going to get 30 points. That's better than not finishing the race, I can tell you that much. So that really does highlight consistency, because you could have a terrific race, be battling for first all day long, and then you have a crash on the second last lap. That's it. You're going to make less points than the person who's been trundling along at the back all day. So it very much is a championship of consistency. As we saw last year with Kurt Stenberg, only the 2 wins for the year, with some of the other drivers getting 7, 8, 9 wins, and he was able to beat them. Why? Because he consistently finished on the podium, and even those 4th and 5th place finishes, very, very, very valuable. Having said that, we do have the drop round, and that takes effect from Bathurst. So from round 1 to round 10, you can just forget about your worst result. Just never happened. All right, so that's pretty good, isn't it? You have a bad day, you can just completely forget about it. So Kurt Stenberg's already burned his joker in the pack in round 1 in Adelaide, having not been able to make the start, but it in theory shouldn't affect his championship too much, because going forward from now, as long as he has a good year, he could still be in the championship hunt. Now, we do have endurance races in this championship. The Bend, Bathurst, Surfers Paradise and Sandown are our endurance races. So one long race, all these points totals are doubled. So normally in the real life Supercars Championship, or at least this year, it's going to be the Bend, Bathurst and Surfers Paradise. They took a vote in the off season. Sandown will also be an endurance event. So 4 races for the Endurance Cup, and a lot of points on offer in those races. Now there's a couple other prerequisites to get the points. Drivers must complete 75% of the race distance. So that's 15 laps if it's a 20 lap race, let's say. And you also must cross the finish line. So you can't just get to lap 15, think, oh, I might just have an early shower and collect the points if you come into the pit. You've got to be running at the end of the race. So these 2 requirements must be fulfilled.
All the information you want about the Automobilista Supercars Championship is now all in one place. Visit asc.rocksolidmates.com for all the official ASC content, including season calendars, results and championship points, broadcast information, rules and regulations, lap records and more. You can also get updates on our official ASC Facebook page. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell notification icon to get notified whenever we go live for all championship races.
The Automobilista Supercars Championship is proudly brought to you by RSM, Rock Solid Mates, ARW, Apex Rear Wing, CW, Colin Warwick Designs, and Jinx Shifters.
Welcome back to Albert Park for the second round of the Automobilista Supercars Championship. We're here at the Melbourne GP circuit for 2 20-lap races, the first of which is about to take place very shortly, Madbird. And here is a reminder of the racetrack that we're at. 7.7 litres per lap is roughly the fuel usage. We're expecting the pit window to be somewhere in the region of lap 6 to 14. Track record is held by Dane Warren, 151.964. That's the track record in race, I should remind you. So we have seen a 151, what was it?
151, no, 150.7.
150, so it's already gone tumbling, and
During
we should expect
qualifying.
the same sort of thing to occur in the race itself.
Absolutely. I expect that he will beat that with ease. I don't think that's controversial to say.
No, I don't either.
I'm not sure, because there's been no changes to the cars or anything like that. I think it's just everyone has lifted their game quite a lot.
Yeah, they really, really have, and it must be frustrating when you see that the times that you're doing now would quite easily maybe have been fast enough to win this time last year. But that's just the way it goes. And
yeah, like you look going around going, oh, I've got this in the bag, and then you realise that everyone else has also improved by half a second or whatever. So
yeah,
it's great for us because it keeps things nice and fresh. But it might be a little bit frustrating for some people that are proud of their improvements, but everyone else is also proud of their improvements. couple of people there just commenting on the feature there that Stairs did. Fantastic work as always. The whiteboard and Budget Larko returning. Fantastic.
And if you've got any ideas for features that you'd like us to do in the future, please do throw them in your comments in the live chat or on Facebook. We've got the Apex Rear Wing Facebook page where you can see a lot of our content. We've got spotter guides up there, Madbird, where you can see a lot of the cars. Quite a few people not here there, unfortunately, tonight, but there are some beautiful liveries.
Absolutely, yeah. I'm looking at the spotter guide right now. Bloody useful, because it can get quite confusing looking at a bunch of cars on your screen. And when you've got another screen next to that screen that has all of those cars on it, it makes it a lot easier.
Or a phone, you know.
Or a phone,
Yep.
yeah, or a tablet. Fantastic. Loved the segment. Says not in service, IGA. Absolutely. I
Yeah,
liked
on
it as
your
well.
not in service, IJ.
IGA. Drops the whiteboard on your foot instead of a brake disc.
We do actually have a number of bloopers we could use from recording those segments, so I'm sure people would love to see them at some stage.
When I saw Drop the
Maybe we could-
Whiteboard, I thought that was a reference to my particular blunder during the Bathurst 1000.
Ah, yes, I think that's more a reference to Larko dropping a brake disc.
And going,
A brake
"Oh,
rotor on his foot.
Oh, obscenity.
Did I say obscenity? Oh, sorry.
These things are heavy.
And another throwing the floor open to our top chat. I believe we've fixed the issues with you not being able to hear the cars, but if you could just confirm with us, yay or nay, if it's all good, please do let us know. But we're getting excited for the race to get going, Madbird. Not too long now, the time has hit 0.
Yep, warm-up is over, so everyone should, in theory, be all ready to go. Just got Colin Warwick here on our screens. Just
Circulating.
getting some last-minute little practice in. Good on him.
Only 2 cars on track at the moment, Aiden Schultz being the other one.
Everyone quietly confident by the looks of it. All of our 16 runners. So
Maybe they're washing their hands.
I feel like... Oh! And I thought he'd saved it. but
So did I. Speaking of saves, saw a remarkable save the other day from yours truly.
Oh.
Yours truly. Yours truly means me.
Yes.
From mine truly. What I mean to say is, Madbird entered a race, and
Oh my goodness.
you had quite the save, didn't you?
I did. Myself, Pablo, and Goofball, who are 2 of the guys that we do, who are in Apex Rear Wing. We entered the Octane online racing 6 hours of Bathurst in Assetto Corsa Competizione. And I had an eventful start to my stint. And one of those happened to be doing a full 360 coming through the chase. But I managed to land it, and I lost very little time because it's all a braking zone anyway. So
I meant to get that footage for this broadcast and stitch you up because I thought it would have been fun, but I completely forgotten till now with everything that's been going on.
That's a bugger. I'll link it to you, and maybe you can stitch me up in the future when I've forgotten that you tried to stitch me up.
That's it.
Cool. So we've gotten some info from Michael Zalavari saying that he can hear us on everything and can hear the cars, more importantly.
That is important.
So fan-bloody-tastic. I am hype. We are here, Stairs, for Melbourne, for the Melbourne Grand Prix. Except not.
Well, the supercars portion of it, anyway.
Absolutely.
So we're just waiting to try and get these cars underway. And there is a calm that falls over this racetrack.
Absolutely. A lot of silent spectators there, along the in the background and in the pit building, standing motionless.
0 out of 0 for realism there.
I guess it's stuff you don't notice when you're driving. And they're away on their warm-up lap.
Yes, this isn't the race itself, mind you.
No.
But Madbird, Dane Warren leading the way, was absolutely dominant in qualifying from Thomas McMillan in 2nd place, and we, Madbird, are expecting a hell of a battle between himself and Kurt Stenberg, given what we've seen in the run-up to this event. Behind them is Sean Allen, who had a pretty disastrous opening round in Adelaide, so he'll be looking to make amends. Ahead of Jake Moloney, joint championship leader with Brodie Steen. Behind Brodie Steen will be Dominic Ferrari, starting in 6th place, ahead of David Nedadic, there for the first of the two ZB Racing cars. We've got Brodie Steen there, aforementioned championship leader. Probably a bit stiff to not get the orange number on his car there, but that maybe they've used a fastest lap or something as a tiebreaker there between himself and Jake Moloney. Zach Baker in 9th place, ahead of Alex Cattle. Now he's racing out of the RaceOnOz stable, but he's got the red livery there. I believe that's a bit of a satellite operation, Madbird. Colin Warwick starting out of 11th place ahead of Jay Borg. Colin Warwick, I should mention, racing with a broken foot tonight. More on that later. Ahead of his Penrite teammates in Jay Borg and his father, Steve Warwick, who's got the call up from Super 2. RSM Latino, another wild card tonight, is starting out of 14th. And Stephen Burko, the Super 2 Championship leader. So looking forward to seeing what he can do. And Aidan Schultz bringing up the rear in 16th place.
Fantastic. So they're all still cycling through the track, coming up to turn 13. Dane Warren leading the pack as we expected. Because, you know, it's the warm-up lap and he obviously can't get any further ahead than first.
Well, that's very true.
We've got Brappo saying McMillan easy dive for lead in turn 1. I mean, I wouldn't put it past him.
I've seen it before.
Got Heath Dixon saying ribbit. I know what that's a reference to.
I don't.
Going off like a frog in a sock.
Ah, very good.
Absolutely. And we've got Ben Thompson saying very irresponsible. Who let the crowd in?
Oh. Who let the crowd in?
Oh my god.
Yeah, let's forget that ever happened.
Yeah, can someone please just snap that little part of the stream and just link it whenever you happen to be in contact with the stairs.
Now, got the grid lining up. And the anticipation builds for the first race of the Albert Park round of the championship. Dane Warren on the right, Thomas McMillan on the left.
Inside line into the first corner, must be said.
Yeah, and it's a very, very wide track here. The revs are rising, the lights are on. We've got all 5 lights because this is the Formula 1 circuit. And away they go, and it's a pretty good start there for both of the front runners as they go through the... oh, there's a big crash there. Dane Warren getting into the back of Thomas McMillan. Thomas McMillan gets into the lead. So unbelievable start there from some of the front runners. So look at that. Thomas McMillan in the lead. I can't believe exactly what happened there. So we might just... we won't get a replay.
Dane Warren trying to go around the outside, but can't get it done. Sorry to cut across you, but Thomas McMillan just defending for DI.
Jake Moloney in the background spinning, and that is an absolute disaster. Jake Moloney is going to go straight to the back of the field.
That's Kurt Stenberg. That's Kurt Stenberg.
It's Kurt Stenberg, sorry. So I thought it was Jake Moloney based on where he was on the racetrack.
David Nedidich as well. He's lost his front splitter. He is actually at the rear there, as Thomas McMillan still leads this race.
So we'll just follow this battle for the lead because anything can happen with Dane Warren and Thomas McMillan as Dane Warren jinks to the inside down at the chicane and gets past Thomas McMillan for the lead. So what an absolute disaster for Kurt Stenberg. Beg your pardon, Jake Moloney fans. So he must have been buried in the pack with a bad start. And
I reckon, sorry, cut across you. They're going into the switchback. Thomas McMillan going down the inside. I think he's got it done. Dane Warren is going deep.
Dane Warren's off the track. On the inside, he's going to fall back into the clutches of Jake Moloney, who's around the outside of him.
And Dominic Ferraris, who's slipped up the outside as well.
Huge.
Right on the heels of Jake Moloney. And is trying to get past Jake Moloney, but goes deep, and Jake Moloney almost losing it as well.
Ferraris is off the track, and he's going to rejoin behind Zach Baker there, back in 6th place. What an absolutely unbelievable start we've had so far. Kurt Stenberg rushing to catch up. He's down, of course, 12 spots from where he started. Now, David Nedidich is down in 16th, missing a front bar. And a huge moment on the track there for Kurt Stenberg, who's just managed to save that. So he's got a lot of work to do, Madbird. But meanwhile, we've got Dane Warren on the recovery drive as Thomas McMillan leads them into race lap number 2.
Absolutely. So it's currently Jake Moloney defending grimly from Dane Warren, who is right up his gearbox. So this might be what Thomas McMillan needs, is for a runner like Jake Moloney to hold him up for a little while, but it doesn't look like he's going to get held up for long. Dane Warren down the inside at turn 3 has that job well and truly done, and now he is within sight of Sean Allen right ahead. Don't count Jake Moloney out too quickly. He is right on the back, but I think it is fair to say that Dane Warren is the class of the field in terms of out-and-out speed. It's just whether he can claw his way back up in front. Thomas McMillan with an incredible start, it has to be said.
Steve Warwick's just had an off down there at turn 3 and has relinquished 15th place to Kurt Stenberg. He's hopping along there. Looks like he's got a bit of damage. He's certainly not at full speed there as Dane Warren hunts Sean Allen for 2nd place now.
Absolutely. So, very well done from Thomas McMillan to hang in there coming through turn 10 down into the switchback. Managed to force Dane Warren into that error, which has led to Thomas McMillan in the lead. If you'd told me that Dane Warren would be in 3rd on lap 2, I would not have believed it.
Yeah, he's got mugged really, didn't he, on that first lap? He didn't have the worst start, but in the second phase of the start, I couldn't believe what I was looking at, because as we cut to the second shot off the start, Dane Warren had already been passed by Thomas McMillan, and they all sort of rear-ended each other a little bit, so they didn't get the best exit off turn 2. And that, of course, led to the action that we then saw. Jake Moloney putting Dane Warren under a little bit of pressure right now.
Yeah, so he's keeping with him. Jake Moloney, of course, is no slouch. Dane Warren was much faster in qualifying, but Jake Moloney, once he's got a carrot in front of him, he can chase that carrot down like the hungriest bunny in existence. McMillan did see how to dive into turn 1 while watching Super 2, apparently. According to John McDonald, Brappo saying, "Easy McMillan." Classic turn 4 Albert Park from Michael Zalavari regarding the incident with Kurt Stenberg and David Nedich. And I'm a car just saying, poor Stenny, the curse of number 1 continues. He's had pedal problems, apparently.
Pedal problems, that's
so
unfortunate.
It wasn't a driver error, it was unfortunately mechanical.
It's not good. Just trying to see where Colin Warwick was. He's in 7th place, so he's actually made up 4 spots from where he started. He basically gave himself a little bit of an excuse yesterday, and I don't want to say excuse like, oh, poor me, but he does have a broken foot, so it's a very legitimate excuse.
Yeah, tell me more about this broken foot, if you have any further information, that is.
Oh, well, he's a bigger guy, so he plays rugby.
Yeah.
Oh, they call it football in the eastern states, but...
they're wrong, but continue.
One of his teammates, a man of roughly 125 kilograms, trod on his foot.
Oh, God.
And he wasn't wearing shoes, so that was an instant break. I think he said he heard the crack, and that is going to be very painful tonight. But a high pain threshold Colin Warwick has.
That has made parts of me shrivel up at the description of that particular incident.
It does make releasing the clutch smoothly a little bit difficult. Colin Warwick noted for his starts in the past. So Dane Warren here is.
He's impatient.
Yeah. There's a bit of hustling going along around the final corner. Thomas McMillan hasn't exactly cleared off down the road either.
He definitely hasn't.
Do you reckon there's some bump drafting going on here?
There might be. I reckon Dane Warren's got this into the second turn.
Yeah.
I was going to say he probably doesn't have to rush because it is a 20 lap race and we're only on lap 3 when I said that. I was going to say that at the time. It's now lap 4, obviously. But he's already up into second, and I feel like, as quick as Thomas McMillan is, he will not be able to hold Dane Warren behind for long. Although Sean Allen trying to go around the inside at turn 3, but can't get it done, as Dane Warren had a little bit of a moment, but he seems to have sorted himself out now.
It's the sort of thing that Thomas McMillan needs a bit more of. He needs some help from his rivals to keep Dane Warren at bay, I think. And no disrespect, of course, to Thomas McMillan.
No, bloody quick, but Dane Warren, I don't think Thomas McMillan would be upset if we said that Dane Warren appears to be, at the very least, quite a bit quicker.
Well, he was 1.2 seconds quicker than Thomas McMillan on the previous lap, so that means that at the current rate he will be ahead of Thomas McMillan by 0.8 seconds. 0.8 seconds, yes. I've exposed my lack of mathematical abilities.
Right there with you.
Yeah.
And that was also while he was chasing someone and trying to overtake them.
Well, here we go. I reckon he might have a chance into this next corner.
I reckon he might. He looked very clean through the switchback. Is he going to duck out? Nope. He thinks better of it and remain. Thomas
a bit
McMillan
wide!
goes deep.
Oh, my goodness. He's forced the error, and that's going to cost Thomas McMillan second place as well as Sean Allen ducks through on the inside.
Sneaky. Looks like it's quite close between them, though, coming out of that turn.
Yep.
Thomas McMillan trying to take a wider line in.
Look at Jake Moloney. Jake Moloney behind them like a shark. Contact there between Sean Allen and Thomas McMillan.
Only hurt Thomas McMillan, sent the back of his car sliding, but he managed to catch it. But Jake Moloney's got the smell of blood in his nostrils, and he is right on the back of the VB Pleb Sim Sports car.
Not wrong, not wrong, as they come bouncing off the curb at turn 1 here. The run down to turn 3. A fantastic overtaking opportunity. There's a bit of dust kicked up from Dane Warren ahead, but he's already in the lead by a second. Thomas Vermeulen just having a look down the inside of Sean Allen into turn 3, but unable to make the move and loses quite a few car lengths on the exit there. What have you spotted there, Madbird?
Oh, just further down the field, I just watched Kurt Stenberg overtake Aiden Schultz into turn 1. So he is now up into 9th place, so continuing his charge back from his first lap blunder.
Damage limitation. I'm trying to... well, we didn't see a replay of it because so much was going on, Madbird, but I don't remember whether he got some help or whether that was a self-imposed spin.
I believe it was self-imposed. If any of our viewers spotted that, please absolutely let us know in the chat.
We've got Thomas Vermeulen up the inside of Sean Allen on the run down to turn 11 and 12. Now, this can always be a very dicey overtaking opportunity, but neither of them want to yield. Sean Allen, I thought, was going to have to yield, and in the end, does lose the position there to Thomas Vermeulen, who just forced it up the inside, and Sean Allen hasn't got the best run out of 12 into 13. And
Jake Moloney gets a peek.
Well, he had the run, but he had nowhere to go. He was on the outside. He's managed to get it to the inside though, somehow. But the problem is Thomas McMillan's in the way.
Here's Thomas McMillan just all over the track, driving as defensively as he possibly can. He doesn't want to lose that second position again. He goes very deep. Sean Allen is going to have a better run onto the start-finish straight. He is right on the back of him. That front bumper is part of the rear bumper. It is structural now, I believe.
It is structural.
Of the Thomas McMillan car. McMillan big dick energy through turn 11, says Michael Salvari. That is very accurate as he defends into turn 1, manages to hold on to it. Sean Allen is going to have a better run.
Oh, no, he's lost it! Oh, you gave him the commentator's curse, literally, as it was happening. So Sean Allen, he's not actually that far off, considering he's had quite a big lose there, but quite a big lose and quite a big save. And look at the guy, Kurt Stenberg has closed in on Jay Borg, beg your pardon. Colin Warwick's the next car up the road, but look how closed up they still are in these, I don't want to say early stages of the race. We're into lap 6, which is about the one-third mark.
Yeah, about that.
We're in the pit window. That's one thing to keep an eye out for.
Laps 6 through 14 being the pit window. What was it? About 7.7 litres a lap around Melbourne GP circuit. So, speaking of Jay Borg, actually, I do want to point out that I was watching towards the back of the field on the start. He had a blistering start. He's up 4 positions. I think he made all of those on the race start. So
on you, Jay.
Bloody good work there from the Stealth Sim Force car of Jay Borg.
Well, he's about to lose that position, I think, to the defending champion in Kurt Stenberg, who's, although he's not having the best night, he's still having a better night than he had at this stage in round 1, Madbird.
He is at least racing tonight, which can only be said is an improvement on not racing.
Yes. And that is a reference that I understand. Luke Boozer saying that was some great racing, Jinx.
Absolutely.
Shout out to Jinx. Exactly.
Yes. Jinx and Jinx shifters. Jinx not racing tonight.
Hard to know where to look here. This battle for 2nd, 3rd and 4th. And also Kurt Stenberg looking to overtake Jay Borg. But we are currently looking at the battle for 2nd place as Dane Warren sets the fastest lap of the race of 51.9 and
51.5, I think it was.
Beg your pardon.
There it is.
595.
So he's closing in on that.
Magenta text makes it difficult to read.
Closing in on that fastest race lap from last season.
And everyone else was in the 53s or 54s on the previous lap. So he's put a...
This is a fantastic little scrap, isn't it? For
huge
2nd
amount
place.
Of time. Yes, it is a fantastic little scrap.
All over the back of Jake Moloney, who in turn is right on the back of Thomas McMillan. And meanwhile, Dane Warren with a 6.5 second advantage. he's cleared off into the sunset.
Yeah, we might have to keep an eye on him to see when he
comes into the pits.
Exactly. Kurt Stenberg still managing, or not managing, to get the job done on Jay Borg. So a good job from Jay Borg there as Kurt Stenberg hangs the tail out of turn number 5. So Kurt, beg your pardon, Dane Warren's just coming up to turns 11 and 12 right now, so we'll know in about 30 seconds or so whether he elects to come into the pits. I would expect him to split the race almost in half, coming around about lap 10.
That would make sense. It's probably strategy not too important on this race. Keep it simple, stupid, as my mum always says.
Yep.
They've lost a bit of time there to Thomas McMillan.
Yeah, he stretched away on this lap. Jake Moloney driving in his mirrors, maybe.
Yeah, a little bit. They're squabbling a little bit too much over that third place, and not worrying too much about second place, getting away from him ahead.
Now here we go. The move for Jake Moloney. Sorry, beg your pardon. Kurt Stenberg going down the inside of Thomas McMillan.
Of Jay Borg.
Beg your pardon. I'm looking at the 2 different screens.
You're looking at a lot of stuff, Steve.
I know. Trying to see whether Dane Warren comes into the pit lane, but it doesn't look like he has on this lap.
Sorry, that was just an incredible save from Kurt Stenberg. Had a huge swapper coming through turns 14 and 15.
Yeah, he's got the job done there, though.
He does. It took him longer than I expected to get past Jay Borg. Good effort from the Stealth Sim Force Racing driver to hold him off for as long as he did.
Broken foot man up ahead of him.
Absolutely. That would be causing quite a bit of pain, I imagine.
Probably going to miss a few games of football, but then I think most people probably are. So, I mean, if ever there was time to have an injury, it's right
Probably
now.
a good one, yeah.
Big lock-up from Colin Warwick ahead there of Kurt Stenberg.
Yeah, it's maybe sees his friend and fellow admin in his rearview mirror and goes, "Oh, here it comes."
He is a. That is that's
unorthodox line.
Bowling a wide, I've heard the term used. I don't like to use cliches overly much, although I do anyway. But that certainly was. No, this battle for second is closed back up, so we're going to cut back to that, I think.
Absolutely.
And we'll keep you abreast of the Colin Warwick and Kurt Stenberg situation. But Thomas McMillan, I think, has just lost a little bit of time as Jake Moloney and Sean Allen pull their fingers out collectively.
Yeah, maybe had a little error somewhere, but as you say, Sean Allen, he's improved, I reckon, in the off season.
Oh, 100%.
He's staying right on the back of Jake Moloney, and Jake Moloney probably would have outclassed him last season. I don't think Sean Allen would be upset to hear me say that, but he is definitely not being outclassed at the moment. And even if he does mind that I say that, come at me, bro.
Well, he and Brodie Steen looking to defend their team's championship again this year, and
doing well so far.
Well, they are. They're in second place behind the Astro duo of the 2 Warren brothers, but Ethan not here tonight, so they're going to lose a lot of points.
Who let them be on the same team?
I don't know. This isn't just for the pansies. This is the top.
This is serious
brass
business.
in Automobilista. So
Absolutely.
There's no handouts. Now Kurt Stenberg has caught up to his admin friend and rival, broken-footed man of Colin Warwick. He's going to go down the inside here. Thankfully, Colin Warwick is a right-foot breaker, because if he was left-foot breaker, as they both outbrake themselves down there at 3, but Kurt gets the job done. It was messy, but it was effective.
How far is Kurt now behind the lead pack? He's about
32 seconds. Those gaps are all they're not relative gaps. They're what's the word? Total gaps to the leader.
Yes, to the leader. So he's about 23 seconds behind the battle for second as it rages.
Yeah. Well, Jake Moloney's just gone off the racetrack. Jake Moloney's just gone off the racetrack, so
lost a lot of time.
He has lost a lot of time.
He's overtaken. No, he hasn't. Sorry, I thought he'd overtaken Sean Allen during that. Sean Allen trying to go down the inside at turn 13. I reckon he's got it done. It's a little bit deep, but he manages to kiss the apex, and he is back up into second place.
Whoops,
so,
beg your pardon. I'm just trying to find a replay of Jake Moloney. Here he is.
Just completely missed the corner.
Yeah, I reckon he just missed his braking marker by the smallest margarine and went straight off the racetrack.
Can't believe it's not braking marker. He is now relegated down into 4th place, trying to chase after Sean Allen for that 3rd place.
Gives Thomas McMillan some breathing space there. Dominic Ferraris is still hanging in there, although I think he's lost his bonnet. No, he hasn't. That's just what his car looks like.
His car looks. That'd be a trick, actually.
Moving right along.
Is paint an engine on your bonnet so that your rivals ahead think that you're damaged.
Kurt Stenberg is coming into the pit lane.
Into the pits. So the first of our pit stops.
Yes.
And following him is Jay Borg, I believe, or possibly Colin Warwick. I think that might actually be Colin Warwick.
Let's try and see. J-Borg has stayed
Yeah,
out, so I
Colin
think you're
Warwick.
right. That is Colin Warwick.
So, oh, and we've got another one coming in as well. Not sure who that is.
It's one of the other Penrite cars. I hope they're not sharing a pit boom.
Oh, that would be awkward.
Well, it can't be J-Borg. It must be Steve Warwick.
Who is in a separate team. He is in the Stealth Penrite 2 team, I believe.
Okay, well, we're going to find out here.
Doesn't look like
Father
he's-
and son.
Oh.
It looks
Oh.
like father has to wait for son. No, he's gone
Nope.
past. No, I don't know what. He doesn't...
I believe his pit box may have been on the other side of Kurt. No! He's just
He
continuing
decided
on.
not to pit.
So perhaps he did have the same...
I'm incredibly confused.
Maybe he and maybe they did share a pit boom, and he simply just instead of double stacking behind and losing some time, he's decided to do a drive-through penalty for himself and lose a lot of time. Certainly an interesting decision.
Are you confused, Madbird?
I'm confused. I believe that's what's happened, is that he just, instead of double stacking, he's just continued to drive.
That's much more costly, given the 40 kilometer an hour speed
It's
limit
very
in the
costly.
Anyway, well,
Anyway.
it never ceases to amaze. Meanwhile, Thomas McMillan and Sean Allen. In fact, Jake Moloney's caught right back up onto the back of Sean Allen here.
He
And they
has.
all stay out on this lap, and so too has Dane Warren. So I think we're increasingly likely to see these guys come in, because we'll be past the halfway point by the time they do come in.
See, if I'm Jake Moloney, I'd jump in, because all you're doing is you're stuck behind Sean Allen anyway. You're trying to overtake him. You might as well get some fresh tires, get some fresh track space, and punch in some hot laps, undercut him in the pits.
Yeah.
But you know, I'm obviously a lot slower than Jake Moloney. So
Steve Burko's had an issue somewhere. He's off the racetrack. Who we got in
we've
the
got
pits?
Dominic Ferraris in the pits, I believe.
And Steve Burko out of the race, so I didn't see exactly what caused that issue for Steve Burko. Unfortunately, my replay isn't working on one of the screens, so I beg your pardon for that. I'll try and get that one rectified.
Got Alex Cattle also coming into the pits, and another black car. Not sure who that is, actually. That is the other... I think that might be Steve Warwick has come in, or possibly...
RSM
Jake
Latino is the other
the
black
other one
car
in the
that's in the
pits?
pit lane there.
Ah.
And we've got Aiden Schultz now making a move down the inside
Oh,
of one of the Penrite cars. I think that's Jay Borg. The
That was-
09 forecast. Some side-by-side action going on.
aggressive turn-in, I would call that, from Aiden Schultz, but good on him.
They're still side by side on the run down to turn number 6, 7, and 8. Tricky racetrack, this one.
Manages to sneak through.
Does indeed.
Got another stealth Penrite car, I believe, coming into the pits. That would be Steve Warwick.
For an actual pit stop this time.
I
but,
do hope.
race leader in, Dane Warren.
Thank Warren coming in. I will say it's nice. It's nice that we've got a lot more liveries this time around. It's a shame so many of them look just black from the distance in the front.
Unfortunately, we normally do have the two Penrite... I mean, the Penrite cars are our teammates, and we've also got this battle for second, I should say, interrupting myself.
They've snuck in. So Jake
They've all
Moloney
come in at the
stayed
same
out.
time. Jake Moloney stays out, but Sean Allen caught right up to the back of Thomas McMillan on the pit entry there.
Yeah, I think Thomas McMillan thought the speed limit started a lot earlier than it did. So he slammed on the anchors, and Sean Allen's, what are you doing? And right up the back of him as he comes into his pit box.
Yes. So Dane Warren, race leader on the move. Here he goes.
Just trundling on past. It's quite undramatic, isn't it?
It is a bit.
watching cars trundle off at 40 k's an hour. Jay Borg and Aiden Schultz, by the looks of it, coming into the pits.
That's right.
Sean Allen exiting his pit box. He might get in front of Thomas McMillan. No, it's close. But it looks like Thomas McMillan has stayed ahead. Just. And
So it'll be very interesting to see
ding ding.
where these guys come out in relation to Jake Moloney, because Jake Moloney will have a shorter pit stop, mind you. Or at least he may have a shorter pit stop. He's
In
got the
theory.
opportunity to save about 1.25 seconds for every single lap that he stays out. And of course, that is all offset by the tyre wear.
Sean Allen right up the back of Thomas Moloney. Is front
Thomas
splitter.
McMillan.
Sorry, Thomas Moloney.
This is Jake Moloney.
This
here.
is Jake Moloney. I'm keeping a weather eye on him on our
This
other
is
monitor.
Jake McMillan here, leading
is-
from Thomas Moloney.
And we've got Sean Stenberg.
Alan
behind
Sean,
him.
I should say.
in fifth place, chasing after Thomas McMillan. So Jake Moloney is currently coming through turns 14 and 15. So We're expecting that he will duck into the pits here, unless he
Oh,
is...
big slide there for Sean Allen out of one of the corners. I don't remember which one that
Jake
is, but
Moloney
Jake
running
Moloney stayed out, so he could potentially save more than a second here if he's not losing time on the tyres.
What sort of time has he set last lap? So once he crosses the line...
53.8 on the previous lap.
And this lap just passed.
I think that is
Nah,
still coming up. It's a bit of a delay there. 53.4. Not bad, not bad.
So keep an eye on Thomas McMillan. What's happened to Sean Allen?
Put a bookmark on that one. He had a moment.
Oh, okay.
We covered that. Don't
I
you
missed
worry.
that. My goodness.
He's still good, but yeah, probably just struggling a little bit getting those tyres up to temperature.
So keep an eye out for Thomas McMillan's time then for this first.
Yeah, Sean Allen's will be about as useful as tits on a ball there. And I just want to revisit the comment. We were talking about all those black liveries, those Penrite liveries. Unfortunately, confusing us a little bit. Isn't aided by the fact that we did have a wildcard come up from the same team, the Penrite team, very much overrepresented in this race. But we do, of course, add to that with haste that we, of course, welcome all of our wildcard entries. Now, what has happened to Sean Allen? He's down in 6th place, having another pit stop. Oh no! Has he forgotten to change the tyres?
Very possibly, and that might be why he had his moment with worn tyres. So that is a disaster for Sean Allen. Down into 7th place, going to probably fall further than that.
And relinquishes the position to his teammate Brodie Steen.
Colin Warwick coming down the start-finish straight now, so he will take that position.
Oh, that is some pain.
Sean Allen in 9th, 10th. Careful, he's going to be 11th. He is 11th.
So they still have some fresh tyres.
So that is horrible luck for Sean Allen, who had it must be said, a pretty bad luck in the first round as well.
Race leaders coming in. Jake Moloney.
So he's gone
from the lead.
3 laps longer, 2 laps longer than Thomas McMillan, who is now the man to watch. So his last lap was a 2-minute 8/10 lap, but that obviously doesn't mean much because that was his out lap.
And Kurt Stenberg is giving Brodie Steen something to think about here, over 5th place on what has been pretty good recovery drive from Kurt so far.
It has. He tries to go for the inside down into turn 11 and 12, but Brodie Steen's having none of it. He covers that off. Well done to Brodie Steen in that Mustang. Going into the switchback, nice and tidy. And he holds Kurt Stenberg behind for just a little bit longer, but I reckon that Kurt will have that job done.
Jake Moloney on the move. I think we've had another fastest lap from Dane Warren in the last few moments. Thomas McMillan's just coming onto the start-finish straight now, but Jake Moloney is at the pit exit, and Jake Moloney may well have the jump here. It's very, very, very close. Thomas McMillan up to racing speed, but Jake Moloney has got through. Where is he? There he is. Oh, he's going to have fresh tyres though, isn't he? He's going to be all over the back of Jake Moloney down into turn 3. He's going to be the widest Trans-Tasman car you've ever seen if he's going to try and defend. He goes to the inside, but Jake Moloney, is he going to have enough traction on those cold tyres? Round the outside goes Thomas McMillan, and he gets to turn 4 first and has got the job done. So Thomas McMillan only just hangs on to 2nd place there.
Absolutely. So yeah, Jake Moloney just with those cold tyres, he did his best, but the tyres just weren't ready for it. So he's got to reset, get those tyres up to temperature, and then set about getting onto the back of Thomas McMillan. And Zach Kidd just asking, where is Ethan Warren? You've got me. And,
your guess is as good as mine.
But he is not here, is something that we can say, the only thing that we can say definitively. So after all that, Sean Allen has shaken out in 10th place. That is for someone that was in the podium positions the entire time. That's gutting, to say the least.
Yeah, we'll watch with interest his recovery in this race. From 10th, let's see.
Only got 6 laps to do it.
No, that's not many laps, is it? He's got Colin Warwick with a broken foot, which we keep mentioning, just up the road from him, so potentially won't put up too much of a fight.
Not sure,
especially with Sean Allen sporting brand new tyres.
Not sure if Kurt Stenberg will make any more positions this race. I reckon he might finish in 5th. He's got.
So he got Brodie Steen while we were watching that pit.
Yes,
stop thing resolve itself.
He's got Dominic Ferraris 14 seconds up the road, but Dominic is on fresh tyres, so he's not going to be a pushover if he in fact can catch that 14 seconds by the end of the race. So 5th might be the best that Kurt Stenberg can hope for, which he probably would have been hoping for a little bit better at the start of this race, but considering he span and was at the back of the field at the end of lap 1, Probably not that bad, really.
Now, Jake Moloney's got a lot of work to do. Thomas McMillan, I should say, has got a lot of work to do here to keep Jake Moloney behind him, because he pitted, I think, at least 2 laps before Jake. So he has got older tyres. As we get further and further into this race, it's going to get harder and harder for Thomas McMillan to keep Jake Moloney behind him.
Yeah, and Thomas McMillan, he's been very, very consistent, it must be said, so far this race. Consistent and quick, which he's usually quick, but his consistency can sometimes falter, so he's been doing very well so far this race. Hopefully he can continue to do so until the end. But having Jake Moloney in your ears must be off-putting.
I want to say a shout out to Dominic Ferrari. It's an absolutely stellar drive from him so far in 4th place. Kept his nose out of trouble, kept it clean, and 4th place looking like, if and I risk being wrong here because I'm going from memory, I'd say his best result in the Automobilista Supercars Championship. So great job so far from Dominic Ferrari. So I've just absolutely given him the commentator's curse.
You've guaranteed that he's going to crash out now.
Now Sean Allen's got Aiden Schultz to deal with right now, and on the recovery drive, already up to 8th, Madbird. So he's making up some positions and may well be 7th by the end of this lap.
Absolutely. Another driver on the recovery is David Nedidich, who also span on the first lap.
Oh, here we go around the outside. Gets excellent traction out of the chicane, does Sean Allen, on the run down to turn 11 and 12. And we saw how relentless, or how ruthless he was down into turn 11 against Thomas McMillan, I believe it was, earlier in the race. And Aiden Schultz decides not to fight that one too hard. Back to this battle for 2nd, Madbird.
Probably wise. Jake Moloney has got a much better exit out of turn 2. He's right on the back of Thomas McMillan going out into turn 3. You've got to be quite brave to dive down the inside there, but he chooses not to.
Entering the closing stages of this race, so you would have thought Thomas McMillan will be on the defensive.
Yeah, there's no chance he's going to catch Dane Warren. I think that's fair to say. 21 seconds up the road. But he can definitely hold on to the 2nd position if he doesn't lose his head. So Jake Moloney all over the back of him, but Thomas McMillan just got to stay calm, keep himself quick in the parts where he needs to be quick, and he should be set to take home a very good result.
So I don't think Sean Allen's going to do any better than where he is right now.
Jake Moloney down the inside, and this is you don't want to have your enemy down the inside going into turns 11 and 12. Thomas McMillan right out to the wall, tries to go around the outside.
Replay.
Oh, he's wide, but he manages to pull it up, but Jake Moloney's going to have a much faster run. Oh.
And Thomas McMillan gets it all out of shape on the exit as well, which will compound that excellent run or compound his bad run and certainly give the advantage to Jake Moloney, who got an excellent run out of that corner and gets the job done. Up into 2nd place. A fantastic job.
Absolutely. And Zach Kidd, no, this is race 1 of round 2, mate.
Yeah, we still got another qualifying session, another race to go. Don't you worry about that.
Absolutely. Thank you, Makul Zaravari, for fielding some comments in the chat for us.
I believe that was a question. It looks like a statement. This is race 2 right now.
Yes, but most rounds have 2 races. Yes, and this is the first of them.
Yes.
Cool.
Race 3 of the championship, race 1 of the night.
He's got
it. Yeah, thanks,
so
Kid. Love your work.
Thomas McMillan right on the back of Jake Moloney. So he's not going to give this up without a fight.
Oh, absolutely. Would you expect anything less from Thomas McMillan?
I would not. Yes, that is going to hurt Ethan Warren on points. We were discussing that earlier to do with the teams championship because they're currently leading. But at this rate, only having one of their drivers finish in the points for this round.
Missing races at the best of times is hurtful to your championship, but with the point system the way it is, very much rewarding of consistency. It is an absolute slap in the balls.
To put it lightly.
To put it lightly, yes.
Absolutely, it is a slap in the balls. But it's looking good for the RaceOnOz guys, who are currently sitting in 6th and 7th. Would have been looking better for them if Sean Allen was still up in the podium places, but these things happen, unfortunately. Almost wonder if his tyres were, if he forgot to change his tyres, would it have been less painful to just finish the race on those worn tyres?
I don't know that they last. We've seen punctures in the
very
past.
Very badly? Okay.
Yeah, so it's like a cliff that they drop off of. Madbird, I'm going to risk something here and try a little. I'm going to try a little stock take, as we've got just 3 laps remaining in this race. It's Dane Warren, of course, leading the way with an absolutely unparalleled speed in this race, and in qualifying, obliterated the record set last year by Dane Warren. So well done to him so far. Just 2 laps at the end of this one remaining for Dane Warren. Jake Moloney and Thomas McMillan, this is the closest battle on the racetrack, and Jake Moloney did emerge from the pits behind Thomas McMillan, but was able to get the job done up into second on those fresh tyres. Dominic Ferraris has just spun out of the second last corner, and he, up until that point, was doing an absolutely stellar job, but he does have a terrific buffer from Kurt Stenberg behind, so 7 seconds. Oh, he'll be nervous trying to bring home that terrific result from Kurt Stenberg, who's recovered to 5th place after spinning on the opening lap and going all the way to the back of the field. Brodie Steen, who Kurt Stenberg passed not too long ago, is the leading RaceOnOz driver once again, and was the joint championship leader going into this round, but Jake Moloney will take over that crown, I believe. Saw Brodie Steen going deep there. Oh, and Thomas McMillan has had a spin! No! Thomas McMillan spins out of 3rd place and off of the podium. So
that car is not handling well.
No, that's fair to say.
Oh, no.
And I'm just trying to bring up a replay there, but I'm not having a huge amount of luck in doing so. We'll try and ring that up. Mad Bird, what utter disappointment.
As you were saying, that is a nasty crash that he's had as well. So we've got a replay of it here, coming through the 4th turn, just oversteered.
Oh, it snapped.
Just snapped on him straight into that diagonal piece of wall and then across the track and into the other. Oh,
he did have an early pit stop, Mad Bird, and maybe he's just paid the price for that.
So he's down into 6th place now, following that damage. Dominic Ferraris now in the podium places stairs.
Oh, now he'll be even more nervous, won't he?
Even more nervous. He's only got a 5-second buffer to Kurt Stenberg, who all of a sudden, after being at the back, and that car is not handling.
Yeah, he's trying to limp it home, because if he finishes, he's done 75% of the race, and we did actually cover this in the points. He's done 75% of the race, but he still needs to be running at the end of the race.
That right-hand side just does not want to do anything.
The suspension is very, very damaged.
To put it lightly. That is a damn shame. So Jake Moloney led off the hook to cruise home into 2nd. And Dominic Ferraris, who
Thomas McMillan's out. He's in the garage. That's it for Thomas McMillan. What a huge shame, because he drove so well up to that point.
He will take home the points for 15th, so it's not a completely lost.
Will he? I don't. Yeah, but I don't.
Finished 75%.
Yeah, but it's got to be rolling at the end of the race.
Oh, sorry. Do apologise. I was thinking.
That's how I understand it.
I was thinking of the Automobilista Australia system. So at this point, Dominic Ferraris, who we were just discussing before, was on set for his best finish in 4th, is now set for his even bester finish in 3rd.
Yes.
Although Kurt Stenberg, you can just see him there as he came around that corner, looming ominously in the background.
A lap and a half to go, and he's taken 3 seconds out of him on the last lap.
Yeah,
so this could be close for the last lap here, Mad Bird.
This could be very close. So Dominic's just got to keep his head in it. Just you don't worry about the guy that's behind you. You are on the track by yourself as far as you're concerned. You just hit your points, accelerate when you usually do, brake when you usually do. You don't try to overdrive the car. Just giving a lot of useless advice.
We didn't see when Dominic pit, but Kurt did come in fairly early. We do know that. That's one consolation for Dominic Ferraris, but nothing can match the nervousness of getting your first podium, short of maybe getting your first win, but this is quite a turn up for Dominic Ferraris if he can get it across the line here.
Absolutely, he's doing well. He's extended his advantage through the 2nd sector.
Yeah, maybe the tyres are starting to hurt for Kurt.
Possibly. Meanwhile, ahead.
Hurt for Kurt.
Hurt for Kurt.
Hurt for Kurt, ladies and gentlemen.
Bloody well done. As Jake Moloney starts the last lap.
He is still doing well.
Of course, means that Dane Warren is almost through the 1st sector of the last lap.
Yeah, his advantage, if I just look at the track map, it's just showing Dane Warren coming up to the 2nd sector split right now, which is just before turn number 6, and we've got 2nd place car just coming out of turn 2 now. So that's the level of, well, that's the lead that Dane Warren has. And you can see it on your screen there as well, nearly 25 seconds.
So the gap to Dominic Ferraris now under 3 seconds for Kurt Stenberg. You know something that I've noticed, Des, that's
What's
quite
that?
pleasing?
Yeah?
Dominic Ferraris' number is 003.
Oh.
And he's currently running in 3rd place. So, meanwhile, Kurt Stenberg, whose number is 1, would dearly love to be running in 1st place, but instead is recovering in 4th place if you're joining us late. Crash on the opening lap.
Thanks for joining us. If you do happen to be joining us late, do stick with us. We've got another race after this one.
David Nedidich also out of the race.
It's been a poor running for the ZB guys.
Absolutely. Zach Baker down in 12th, a lap down, so just not together with it this race. But someone who is together with it, Stairs, is this man on screen, Dayne Warren.
Absolutely. He brings it to the line in what has been a sublime effort for Dayne Warren. His 2nd win out of 3, and the Warren brothers are 3 from 3 in the Automobilista Supercars Championship in 2020.
Absolutely. And the man behind him, you can't even see him. That's how far ahead he was. Is coming through the...
Turn 12?
Coming through turn 12. Almost half the lap. Behind, well, that's an exaggeration, but it feels like it when you look at the track map. He is going to come home in 2nd place. Not probably what he expected, but nevertheless, 25 seconds behind Dayne Warren at the end. And Dominic Ferraris, at the moment, I really don't want to say anything until he's come around this last corner, which he now is, and he now has, and he has now, barring some horrible eventuality, he has claimed his first podium for Automobilista Supercars Championship. Bloody good running there for Dominic Ferraris with Kurt Stenberg. Decent recovery, bloody decent recovery up into 4th place after being in 14th at the end of the first lap.
Yeah, I think he would have taken that if you'd given it to him at the end of lap 1. So well done to Kurt Stenberg, I should say, on a terrific recovery drive. But all the accolades belong to Dayne Warren for a tremendous win. Jake Moloney for a great drive in 2nd place. Didn't have it handed to him, but the opponents that he did have, Sean Allen and Thomas Vermeulen, unfortunately for them, falling by the wayside. And Dominic Ferrari's on a sublime drive there. He has dispensed with his bonnet this time, I think.
Yep.
And
out of celebration.
He obviously didn't realise that you're supposed to line up at the end of the pit lane for a photo opportunity, but I'm sure he can be forgiven for that.
Absolutely, I'd
his
probably
first time.
Brodie Steen in 5th and Sean Allen in 6th, so decent points for the Brodie Steen, for the RaceOnOz guys in the end, even if it isn't the points they were probably hoping for. Aiden Schultz in 7th, decent finish for him. Colin Warwick with a broken foot, probably happy with 8th. Jay Borg in 9th. RSM Latino rounding out the top 10. With only 3 finishes outside are Alex Cattle, Zach Baker and Steve Warwick, with David Nedidich DNFing after also having a bingle on the first lap. And Thomas McMillan, who was in with a podium and at the start potentially a race win, although I think we all kind of knew that Dayne Warren would be inevitable.
He's not unfallible though. We've seen him make errors to do with the pit stops, but he was absolutely sublime today and there was no such issues for him.
Absolutely. So that's race 1, Stairs.
It absolutely was. I can say unequivocally that was not a disappointment.
No, I kept my interest the entire time. There was a lot of drama and a fantastic scrap for basically the entire race for that for those podium positions between Thomas McMillan, Jake Moloney and Sean Allen. So Dayne OP, says Michael Zalavari. I tend to agree, but my goodness, he certainly earned that one. Bloody good win for Dayne Warren, and soon, Stairs, maybe another one, possibly.
Another what? Sorry?
Win.
Oh,
for Dayne
yes, quite
Warren.
possibly. It's hard to see. I mean, we certainly don't want to discourage any thoughts of anyone else winning the next race, but it's hard to see anyone else taking the fight to him for the win. But that doesn't mean that there isn't a whole lot of intrigue in this race too, because it's every man and his dog for second, third, fourth,
Absolutely,
etc., etc. There's so many people who were taken out at the start of that race, who could potentially have been up there.
Imagine if it had been Colin Warwick, had still been up there, and it would have been a 4-person race for the second position on the podium. So
we certainly know that Kurt's got the pace to be up there. He was
Absolutely.
up there with Thomas Vermeulen
in qualifying,
and during some of the practice races that they've done.
Absolutely.
So we're just waiting now on qualifying to get underway for race number 2 tonight. If you just joined us, it's 6 sets of tyres, not 6 tyres. That's basically 1.5 sets for the second race. And the tyre allocation, something that resets for each race. So 12 sets for the night and 6 sets for the first race, 6 sets for the second race. Now that includes qualifying, and it also includes practice for the first part of the for the practice for the first race. So it's a little bit more of a limitation for race number 1 as it is for race number 2, because we're going to roll straight into qualifying after a short 5-minute break, which is an opportunity for most of our drivers to go to the bathroom perhaps, and just have a bit of a meditation on what's just happened. I'm sure there are some drivers who are feeling like they let a good podium result get away from them. I'm referring, I guess, to drivers like Thomas McMillan and Sean Allen, who very well could have been on the podium there. They drove valiantly for the predominant majority of that race, and unfortunately they won't get the points to show for it, which is so very, very damaging to their championship prospects. They do, of course, have the benefit of dropping their worst result from the first 10 rounds, but you don't want to burn that joker in the pack too early in the year, as they have done, as Kurt Stenberg has done in round 1, completely not of his own doing, of course.
No, Mother Nature was cruel to him for round 1, just completely destroyed any chance of him taking part in the race. Well, I mean, I guess he could have just stayed at his mate's place and used his rig rather than rushing home, but he was not to know that as soon as he got home, the power would immediately go back out. So that's a damn shame.
Very bad luck, isn't it?
It's quite bad luck, to put it lightly. To put it very lightly indeed. So we've got a couple minutes here just before they get into the second qualifying session. Just waiting for that to tick over, so that we can get sorted for race 2. And I'm going to make a bold call, Stairs. I'm going to make it early.
Oh, yes.
Dane Warren for pole.
Where's Lewis Kugley? Where's Lewis Kugley? If you're in the chat there, Lewis Kugley, this is something that you could make a bet with him about.
It is something I could make a bet with him about, and then he could not pay me for winning that bet.
Well, if
despite being a man of his word and the money apparently burning a hole in his pocket, it apparently burned such a hole in his pocket that the money ceased to exist, and he was not able to give it to me. So that's a shame.
Very good. Well,
I'm not bitter.
If you are just joining us and are a bit confused about what we're talking about, during last year's Winton race, Madbird made a bet with one of our viewers in the live chat, Lewis Kugley, Super 2 driver, that Thomas McMillan would not finish on the podium, and it was looking like a pretty poor bet for you, Madbird, for most of that race.
The last corner of the race.
Yeah, it was still looking good on the first corner of the last lap of the race, wasn't it?
It was. It was looking fine. Well, for him, anyway. And then Thomas McMillan did me the service of running out of fuel on the last lap of the race. So he in fact finished off the podium, and I've been waiting for my $10 ever since. But regardless, I guess I will have to remain $10-less for now.
F's in chat for Madbird there. John McDonald saying, watch Dane do a sub 150. Well, the gauntlet being thrown down there by John McDonald in the live chat.
I could believe it.
We're
going to be in 149 land, potentially, with Dane Warren and no one else. It's a very lonely land.
Exactly.
Classic McMillan, Mac Zalavari in chat.
I heard for Jake, not for Jake McMillan. Now I'm doing it. Thomas McMillan. But he lives and dies by the sword. That's his racing style, and it's very entertaining to watch. I think it hurts me more than it hurts him, actually.
Yeah, I feel like he probably doesn't mind that much.
Seeing him crash out of fantastic results, but nonetheless, that's the way it be.
He did bring home a fantastic result last season in the, was it the Sandown Endurance?
Yes, he won that race. Yep. And funny that it's an endurance event that happened to him.
Because he was on track for a fantastic result in the Surface Paradise Endurance, but then unfortunately disconnected. So it was good to see him come back the following round and get his get his comeuppance.
What that says to me is that when he puts his mind to it, he is absolutely, I don't want to say unbeatable, but very, very hard to beat.
Absolutely. He can turn it right on when he wants to. It's just unfortunately, sometimes he doesn't want to. Well, he probably wants to, but is unable to. Sorry, I'm distracted because my girlfriend is sending me updates on this show, Married at First Sight, which I definitely don't watch.
Oh yeah.
So, man up, you little bitch, was her most recent comment, referring to, I think, Jonathan. Here we are at the Melbourne GP circuit. A little overview of the circuit for those of you unfamiliar with it. 5.3 kilometers in length. We've got the turn 1 and 2, very good overtaking opportunity, as is turn 3. Then you go into turn 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8, an odd little twisty section, and then another good overtaking opportunity into turn 9. Turn 10, very tricky, long, accelerating corner. Turns 11 and 12, a switchback, very challenging. We saw some excellent side-by-side there in race 1. Turns 13, 14, 15, and 16, almost all right-angle corners as they lead their way back around to the start-finish straight, and that's the Melbourne GP circuit.
It certainly is, and the timer is reset to 15.
Everyone's ready.
Everyone's ready, and I'm just going to rectify something, Madbird, while we wait for that.
Absolutely. So everyone just getting out into the pit lane, ready to start this particular qualifying session. Looks like we've picked up a few more viewers. Good to have you along, everybody. Make sure to have a chat in the chat. Where else would you? And give us your predictions on how you think the race is going to go. We've got someone flashing their lights. I think that's Colin Warwick. Just not sure why he's doing that, but he's right behind one of the ZB Racing guys. And he stopped flashing his lights. Perhaps just he does that in the pit lane just for S's and G's.
Sorry about the graphics just flickering there for you. Had to bring back the audio which we were missing earlier on in the broadcast. Same reason for that, and it is now fixed. So apologies for that, viewers.
It's a lot of work that Stairs puts on for this particular broadcast and all the broadcasts that we do. So he does a fantastic job, and you'll have to forgive us if sometimes things go a little bit awry. But rest assured, he is always feverishly tapping away at several keyboards and mice in an effort to bring you the best sim racing commentary experience possible.
So, Madbird, it's Thomas McMillan, the first man on the racetrack.
Again.
Is that any surprise to you? I think he's eager to make amends for what happened in race number 1, but of course he did that in the qualifying session for race number 1 as well, so
absolutely.
no change in form.
No change in form. He likes to get out there early, have a clean track ahead of him, which, to be honest, is probably a good idea. We've got a couple of people still in the pits who might get in his way. We've got Dane Warren still in the pits.
And Kurt Stenberg. Some big names sat in the pit lane.
Big names in the pit lane.
Is that how I said that?
That is not how you said that. That's how I chose to say it, so
yeah.
I apologise profusely.
Big name!
Big name! Oh. Someone that I miss is Big Dog, who just has not been around.
Not as big a names as Arjuna Ranatunga. Just happens to be a big name.
Just spat my water.
Yeah.
Who was that cricketer that I particularly enjoyed the name of? Usman Khawaja.
Usman Khawaja.
Well, I thought that was his whole name.
Yes. Usman Khawaja. Yeah.
Thomas McMillan
not doing much at the moment.
No. I'd particularly like that tweet from the female T20 captain saying, "Oh, it's interesting. We got to play like the men do with a crowd, and now the men are playing like we do with nobody."
Well, now they're all grounded. So,
Yeah.
Speaking of Twitter, why don't you tweet your favourite sports star and tell them to watch sim racing?
Absolutely.
Point them to the Automobilista Supercars.
While they've got some time off, get them to chip in and have a chat. Would love to hear from Usman.
I think we'll all have a bit of time off before long, but
Thomas
it gives us more time to spend on this fantastic thing.
Absolutely does. Thomas McMillan with a 36.4, I think that was for his first sector. I cannot remember at all if that was
36.934. So now we've swapped. I did that earlier on in the broadcast, and you did.
Now we're returning serve. Michael Zalvari saying it was the wicketkeeper, not the captain, Madbird. Do apologise.
Yeah, so Lisa Healy, of course, is the captain of the women's cricket team.
I follow regular cricket not at all, and women's cricket less so.
I mean, I follow cricket too, but I can't. Is Meg Lanning the captain? I can't tell. I don't know why I'm asking you. You just said you don't know.
Literally had not watched a cricket game to completion until
didn't know you were cricket tragic.
Until we were in Bathurst.
When cricket eventually happens again a decade from now, we should go to a game. I lost my buddy, Matt. Bagsy and I used to go to the cricket all the time.
We said we weren't going to talk about it.
I'm talking about cricket.
Ah, that's fair. Thomas. Meanwhile, as we've been talking about cricket, has made his way around the track and is now finishing his hot lap.
Yes, that's what I said. Meg Lanning is the captain, Healy is the keeper. That's easy to remember because Ian Healy was the captain. It was the keeper back in the day.
I don't know why you're looking at me.
Sorry. Gilly, run machine!
Gilly, run machine!
Oh, there's a story. We're not paying attention to the qualifying.
Seriously,
right
though,
now.
we need jobs. Thomas Millen goes
I'm going to have to explain that story now. When I was a kid, there was a vineyard across the road from our house, and these Indian people came along asking for jobs, and like they thought we owned the vineyard, but we didn't, and we somehow cricket came up, and they said, "Oh yes, cricket, Gilly, run machine." But seriously, we need jobs.
Oh, lordy me. That's from back in the MSN days.
So Thomas McMillan isn't going quicker on this lap, but only by a whisker. David Nenadic has slotted into second, Jay Borg in third, and Alex Cadell in fourth. So we haven't seen some of the heavy hitters.
Dane Warren is out.
Just
I saw him earlier, so I imagine that time will quickly evaporate. John McDonald saying that's the best story.
Literally ever.
Literally ever.
Oh man, I haven't even told you the story about the Ziploc bag that my dad crapped into.
I don't know if I've heard that one.
Probably not.
I've heard another one involving someone in your family and crapping in something that you usually would not crap in.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Family trait. I'm not going to bring that up.
Genetic. Man, this commentary is a hot mess, says Michael Zalvari. We're waiting for the heavy hitters to set some
Yeah, we are
laps.
waiting for the heavy hitters to set some laps, aren't we?
And I feel like, knowing the pace that man in the background there, Dane Warren, has, it kind of takes a bit of the sting out of it, because... like, really, who's going to get on pole?
Sean Allen's gone second with the fastest final sector, but he's very, very close to the time set by Thomas McMillan there, Madbird. That's only 0.02 of a second.
That's bloody close. I will say that the time that Thomas McMillan set is, as he's just improved it, it is still about a second slower than the time that Dane Warren set for pole on the previous race.
Oh, that's a lot of curb there from Dane Warren.
But we will see what he can do this time around, as you say. He is starting.
Yeah. McMillan's hastily sticking the hacksaw back in his back pocket after moving the goalposts there. 3/10, nearly 4/10 of a second clear of Sean Allen now as we look at Dane Warren's first lap in this qualifying session.
I'm hopeful for Sean Allen. He's deserved a good result in every race so far. And it just hasn't come together for him. Last race was, of course, his own fault, not changing tyres. That's
Not
a damn
good.
shame.
Jake Moloney's also on a lap, which we'll keep an eye on.
Dane Warren 0.3 faster through the first sector. So continuing as he means to go on. Luke Boozer saying, these comms are something. Glad I tuned in tonight.
You butchered what he wrote there. This comms is something.
This comms is something. Do apologise. I automatically corrected the grammar in my head.
Glad to have you on board, Luke.
Absolutely. Welcome along.
Now look at that.
0.6.
That's a lot.
Yes, it is. Oh,
my God.
Very wide on the exit of turn 12.
He's panic buying tenths of a second here, and he's just stuffing them into his trolley.
And the person at the Coles checkout saying, "Sorry, sir, you can only have 2 of those tenths." And he's like, "I'm Dane Warren, shut up.
I'm gonna go back for more.
I'm gonna take these out to the car, and then I'm gonna drive to a different Coles and pick up another couple of tenths."
We said we wouldn't talk about it. Jake Moloney with the fastest first sector though. He's not matched him in the middle sector though. So Dane Warren still looks like he's going to be on pole after Jake Moloney sets his lap. But let's see what the benchmark's going to be first from Dane Warren. It's a 150.8.
That's what he did last time, I believe.
Yeah, it's a far cry from the sub 50 that some of the guys in chat were talking about. Jake
Not
Moloney
miles away.
goes second.
No, just 0.3 behind. So not miles away is Jake Moloney. But I think as we hinted earlier, I believe Dane Warren does probably have more pace in him. But I guess remains to be seen. Jake Moloney at the moment though. Only 0.3 down.
2 cars. I was going to say 2 cars in the pits. It's suddenly doubled to 4 cars. Thomas McMillan and Dominic Ferrari. Zach Baker and Jay Borg sat up in the pits, but only for a short time.
I'm seeing double here.
6 seconds.
Eight in the pit lane.
Take these, then these, and
then
then these. That's what it was like installing the mod tonight.
Oh my lord.
Sorry about that double cut there.
All good.
Yeah. Dane Warren is purple in the first sector, Madbird. 36.5.
Bloody good.
You know it.
2 tenths up on his own fastest
Looks
time.
like it's between these two now, Jake and Dane. But Dane is moving the goalposts with every subsequent lap.
He didn't even use a hacksaw. He just pulled them up like root and all, and he's currently hustling them about 50 meters past the usual goal line, and starting to. He's just chomping holes out of the concrete of the car park.
You're trying to one-up my analogies, man.
I am. It must be said, I'm failing. Chomping holes in the concrete to slam those goalposts down in much further away than they previously were. I'm going to stop talking now as he completes his lap.
Is it a sub 50? Doesn't look like it, but he gets a lot closer to that. I reckon it's possible. Whether or not he feels the need to, Jake Moloney has come into the pits, so he was on a cool-down lap. Dane Warren clearly going for the 2 laps in a row, and makes it very, very hard. 8 tenths the gap between Jake Moloney and Dane Warren. That's, at least it's smaller than the gap was for race 1.
That's very true. I don't see it coming down though.
There's Jake.
Jake in the pits receiving service by the looks of it, and then quickly onwards. Good on him.
So Sean Allen is in 3rd place currently, ahead of Thomas McMillan. Dominic Ferrari's again backing up from a strong result. I think we keep being surprised by Dominic Ferrari's, but
I think we need to stop being surprised.
He seems
by
to be
Dominic
showing
Ferrari's.
that he's up there legitimately. It's not any fluke that he is a top 5 contender.
Because it's a name we're not used to. We didn't call it in the first season, so
yeah.
In our heads that means he's new and green, but he is quickly proving that he is not.
He's essentially a rookie. He did enter the championship in 2019, but he only entered the first round in Adelaide and came 17th or so it wasn't really a true indicator of his pace, and clearly he's been doing some work in the off-season, and it's paid off. Podium in race number 3 of the series, round 2 in Melbourne.
And currently sitting in 5th for this qualifying session, although he's about to begin a new hot lap, so he may improve on that. But that is no slouch. Thomas McMillan on a hot lap, possibly not, because he's about 5 tenths down on his own personal best, let alone
Alright, let's
first
go back
place.
to Dominic then, shall we?
on his hot lap.
Who else is on a lap? Dane Warren's coming into the pits, so he's finished that giant beating run. Well, I wouldn't say giant beating, he's the giant who needs beating. Jake Moloney's on his outlap, so seeing if he can respond.
Absolutely. Near the better part of 9 tenths of a second between Dane Warren and Jake Moloney, so it's going to be one hell of a response for Jake Moloney to cut into that. Dominic Ferraris, meanwhile, 3 tenths better in the first sector on his own time, so that's nothing to sneeze at. He's only about 6 tenths down on 4th place man Thomas McMillan, so it only takes another sector like that, and he is into 4th place.
What's surprising me at the moment is that Kurt Stenberg hasn't managed to cobble together a lap. He's 4 seconds off the pace in 10th, which isn't his true pace, I can guarantee you that. So he must have got some traffic or made a mistake on his run. Maybe he only had one run. Very wide there for Dominic Ferrari. Up on his personal best, though, so he carried a lot of speed out of turn number 12.
Yeah, absolutely. So he's looking good to cut that deficit to Thomas McMillan ahead. Whether he will wind up ahead or not remains to be seen. As you say, Kurt Stenberg must be on an outlap at the moment. He is not showing any times as he's goes through turn 13.
Catch the end of this lap here for Dominic Ferrari, see if he can improve on his 4th place. How far away from Thomas McMillan is he? Quite a long way, so he's got to pull out all the stops if he wants to get further up than 5th.
Decent time, and he's done it! Oh!
Wow!
By about 0.02 of a second he has done it, so blisteringly quick from Dominic Ferraris. That is very well done.
See if Thomas McMillan has got any response to that. Kurt Stenberg's just started a lap, but we'll watch to see with interest if Thomas McMillan can improve. It's on a 36.8 on the first sector, which isn't particularly quick, but I don't know how it compares to his best
Coming
so
up
far.
to the second sector, and he's up 2/10 on his own personal best. So
That would be enough, because Dominic Ferrari's only just
only
pipped him.
just, yeah.
Yeah.
That might be another 10th, and he is up in the Sean Allen territory of third. So he might want to continue improving, as if that wasn't something he was trying to do anyway. What a silly comment. Kurt Stenberg,
Oh, this is what the brilliant guys do.
I can see in the background, Kurt Stenberg not setting the timing sheets alight. He's
No.
5/10 down on first.
It's about midway through his lap. We're going to hang with Thomas McMillan to the end of this lap and then cut to Kurt to see whether he can improve in the back end of that lap. But Thomas McMillan looks set to retake fourth place from Dominic Ferraris here as he runs to the line. And he does do it. Another 2/10 taken out of the time from Thomas McMillan.
Hashtag cut to Kurt. As he's...
And-
Oh, so the second sector is where he had his issue.
Yeah, clearly.
He's 1.8 seconds better than his PB.
That's a bit better, isn't it?
That's much better. So looking like a decent finish for Kurt Stenberg. What sort of time did he do? So a 29.6. So that's quite quick. That's about the same pace as the Jake Moloney's and Sean Allens of this world through the second sector.
Yes, 29.6 his middle sector time. So Dane Warren's in the pit still, and he's not going to get another bite of the cherry. So no 49s by the looks of it, unless Jake Moloney can pull something extraordinary out of the bag.
No 149 land.
So Kurt Stenberg to the line, and this will be his last bite at the cherry, and he goes fifth and dethrones Dominic Ferraris, who's got actually a chance to reply to that, doesn't he?
Yeah, so he's...
Jake Moloney is on a lap as well, so he will also have one more opportunity to try and take Dane Warren's pole position away from him, as Dominic Ferraris gets it all wrong there, and that is going to put paid to that lap. Back
Suffice
with
to
Jake
say.
Moloney, who's not improving by the looks of it, suffice to say.
Yeah, so he's a 10th down on his personal best, 5/10 down on Dane Warren. That's so fast. He does still have a sector to pull it together, but I don't think that's going to be enough time to gain 8/10 of a second. That's quite the...
You can't afford to throw away anything against Dane Warren.
You need to be perfect in every single part of the racetrack, and even then he might beat you. So I guess the saving grace is that there's only the one Warren here tonight.
He's not pushing, I don't think.
No.
Doesn't look like he is anyway. Yeah, that is a saving grace. It's a small one, albeit, but
It means
it
that
is.
there's 2 podium places up for grabs.
Does improve on his PB though, does Jake? So he didn't actually get a perfect lap into at all, and he's
Oh.
blown his engine up right at the end. I wonder
on
if
him.
that was just in frustration,
Possibly.
slamming it down the gearbox. And that's qualifying, Madbird.
Absolutely. So we got the pole position that we expected. Jake Moloney in second, Sean Allen in third. Usual suspects, Thomas McMillan in fourth. So Thomas McMillan, if he's going to make a dive in for the lead in turn 1, it's going to be a lot more dramatic. And Kurt Stenberg in 5th place. So hopefully has a much better start to the race than he did in race 1, Stairs.
Smooth segue about how important points are.
Hello everyone, let's talk about points today. So what do you get just for winning a race? Well, in most rounds, 150 points is your reward for coming across the line in first place. Second place gets you 138, third place gets you to 129. I'm not going to read them all out because you can obviously read, most of you. And if you go down to 25th place, you still get 30 points. So worst case scenario in a race where every single car finishes the race and you come dead last, you're still going to get 30 points. That's better than not finishing the race, I can tell you that much. So that really does highlight consistency, because you could have a terrific race, be battling for first all day long, and then you have a crash on the second last lap. That's it. You're going to make less points than the person who's been trundling along at the back all day. So it very much is a championship of consistency. As we saw last year with Kurt Stenberg, only the 2 wins for the year, with some of the other drivers getting 7, 8, 9 wins, and he was able to beat them. Why? Because he consistently finished on the podium, and even those 4th and 5th place finishes, very, very, very valuable. Having said that, we do have the drop round, and that takes effect from Bathurst. So from round 1 to round 10, you can just forget about your worst result. Just never happened. All right, so that's pretty good, isn't it? You have a bad day, you can just completely forget about it. So Kurt Stenberg's already burned his joker in the pack in round 1 in Adelaide, having not been able to make the start, but it in theory shouldn't affect his championship too much, because going forward from now, as long as he has a good year, he could still be in the championship hunt. Now, we do have endurance races in this championship. The Bend, Bathurst, Surfers Paradise and Sandown are our endurance races. So one long race, all these points totals are doubled. So normally in the real life Supercars Championship, or at least this year, it's going to be the Bend, Bathurst and Surfers Paradise. They took a vote in the off season. Sandown will also be an endurance event. So 4 races for the Endurance Cup and a lot of points on offer in those races. Now there's a couple other prerequisites to get the points. Drivers must complete 75% of the race distance. So that's 15 laps if it's a 20-lap race, let's say. And you also must cross the finish line. So you can't just get to lap 15, think, I might just have an early shower and collect the points if you come into the pit. You've got to be running at the end of the race. So these 2 requirements must be fulfilled.
All the information you want about the Automobilista Supercars Championship is now all in one place. Visit asc.rocksolidmates.com for all the official ASC content, including season calendars, results and championship points, broadcast information, rules and regulations, lap records and more. You can also get updates on our official ASC Facebook page. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell notification icon to get notified whenever we go live for all championship races.
The Automobilista Supercars Championship is proudly brought to you by RSM, Rock Solid Mates, ARW, Apex Rear Wing, CW, Colin Warwick Designs, and Jinx Shifters.
Welcome back to Albert Park for the second round of the Automobilista Supercars Championship, and we're just pissing away a little bit of time before the second race, man. For predictions?
Dane Warren to take the win.
Oh yeah.
I hate to sound boring, but I
Bit
mean,
of a risk taker, aren't you?
unless he has a absolute mare and gets taken out on lap 1 or something.
Follow-up question. Second place. Who takes out second place in this race? Jake Moloney is very consistent. It's hard to go past him as well.
He is. I'm going to say Sean Allen. I reckon Sean Allen is going to be hungry for a decent result after a disappointing first round, and then, of course, forgetting his tyres, we reckon, in the first race of tonight. I reckon he's going to be hungry for it, and he's going to get ahead of Jake Moloney on the start and hold him behind for the entire race.
We're currently in the warm-up session, just under 2 minutes remaining until we get going for race number 2. Which will be another 20-lap sprint with a pit stop, of course. So the majority of the drivers we saw pitting around about lap 10 there for the first race, but I reckon we saw some of the guys who pit early really struggle with their tyre life towards the end. Lots of very fast corners, high speed, big radius corners, which really wear on the tyres.
Yeah, I reckon we might see a few more people doing the Jake Moloney route of pitting around lap 13, around lap 12 or lap 13.
Just worked for him, didn't it?
Yeah, on the late side of the pit window, but regardless, worked out for him. So
Did
indeed.
So just it looks like handful of cars on the racetrack now, just 4 of them, and we're currently looking at 2 of the Penrite cars running in formation.
Thought that was going to be an accident there for a moment, but of course it wasn't. We've got 40 seconds left. A couple of people just getting some laps in, as you say. It is Thomas McMillan out there as well, probably wisely. Kurt Stenberg, Colin Warwick, and his father Steve Warwick.
Good job from Steve the other night. Very unlucky not to get a podium, spinning on the final lap of the second race there.
That's
yesterday.
Painful. I know that pain personally, and it's not great.
I've been the beneficiary of that.
You have indeed.
Old wounds.
Yep. Still bitter.
Yeah, I bet. I didn't do it to you. Was certainly pleased.
Fair there.
Surface Paradise, is that the one you're talking about?
That's the one I'm thinking of, yeah. Would have been my first... Oh!
Not your first podium, wouldn't it?
It would have been probably the first one that I'm very hard on myself. I don't think I've really earned a podium until the last season of ARW. I think everyone else has sort of been handed to me, but last season...
You gotta take what you can get when you got stiff competition.
You got people like Xerus around you.
Colin Warwick practicing his pit entry, good idea, I think.
Excellent
Especially with a
idea.
broken foot. We know we keep bringing it up, but it must be incredibly painful. It's lucky that he's a right foot breaker, doing the heel and toe, but if he was a left foot breaker, I don't think it would be possible with a load cell break.
Brap just saying that Steve Warwick's spin on the final lap was good for him.
Well, it was, and you've got to be there to take the podium, so
Absolutely.
congratulations, Brap, on a good result for you last night.
Yeah, it's what do they say? Success in racing is a combination of skill, of talent and luck, and you need a hefty whack of the ladder as well as being the former. So definitely goes for sim racing as well. As we've counted down to 0, so we are ready, Stairs, for race number 2 here at the Melbourne GP circuit.
You betcha. I was going to let you continue, sorry.
Oh, I've got it. So
I was just riffing.
We've got 20 laps, 106 kilometres all up around this circuit. Turn 2 will be a big overtaking opportunity on the first lap. 2 times fuel usage, about 7.7 litres per lap, we reckon, with the pit window being laps 6 to 14. As we said, we saw a few people just splitting it right in half, coming in on lap 10, but Jake Moloney in particular came in on lap 13, I believe. And he seemed to reap the rewards of very, very fresh tyres towards the end. So it remains to be seen how this race will go.
Beautiful sight. All the cars lined up, ready to start.
It's a colourful grid, isn't it? I know I keep complaining about all the black cars, but
there's not actually that many.
There's
black
actually
cars.
not that many. It's just that they look quite similar from the front. The Penrite ones in particular.
I do love a good whinge myself, so I'm not one to judge.
Don't we all? Don't we all? It's cathartic.
It is.
It's cathartic. You know what's cathartic? Pissing on your outdoor setting. Something I didn't do.
Might just avoid the outdoors for a little while.
Dayne Warren leads us off.
He does.
Second pole position tonight in dominant fashion, ahead of Jake Moloney, who brought home second place in the first race after a race-long battle with Sean Allen and Thomas McMillan. Unfortunately came undone for his rivals, one of which being Sean Allen, who starts from third. Thomas McMillan in fourth rather than second this time around. Unfortunate first race for him, was in line for a second or third place for the entire race and then binned it right towards the end with a DNF. Damn shame. Kurt Stenberg, after a very frustrating race 1 where he span on the first lap due to pedal issues and had to recover from the last, ended up in 5th, I believe. Oh, sorry, ended up in 4th in the first race.
Would
so he will be
5th, wouldn't it?
So he will be hoping to make amends in this race with a better start and hopefully a podium for him. Behind him, we've got the man that took a podium in the first race at the very death, Dominic Ferraris in the Prologue React Esport car. Behind him, we've got the second of the RaceOnOz guys, Brodie Steen in that Mustang. Behind them, both the ZB Racing guys who just don't seem to have the pace tonight. We've got David Nedlich in 8th and his teammate Zach Baker in 9th. Behind them, we've got Alex Cattle in one of the RaceOnOz cars, but a satellite sister team of the RaceOnOz, that red livery car there. Colin Warwick for Penrite Racing in 11th, and behind him we have got his with his broken foot, and behind them we have Jay Borg in the other stealth sim.
Is it prerequisite now whenever we bring up Colin Warwick to say
the broken foot?
Broken-footed Colin Warwick.
Jay Borg.
Sounds like a native Australian animal. Native broken-footed Colin Warwick.
Behind Jay Borg.
Apologies, Colin, to make light of your pain.
Being RSM Latino and the rock solid mate ZB Commodore. Steve Warwick in 14th place.
Non-broken footed.
With no broken foot. It's not genetic, luckily enough. And behind them we have got Steve Burko. So we have lost Aidan Schultz between races.
It's a damn shame.
It's a damn shame, but someone we haven't lost and probably will not lose in the future is Dayne Warren. Someone who will lose Dayne Warren, I imagine, will be Jake Moloney, who will lose Dayne Warren off into the distance in quick order, I am predicting. And again, Sean Allen for second place. I'm calling it now.
Sean Allen for second place, starting out of third, beg your pardon. So it's Jake Moloney on the left of your screen at the front of the grid, and Dane Warren on the right of your screen at the front of the grid, taking
Got a few people just
pole position.
shifting back and forth, trying to make sure that they're in their grid slot. Looks like we've got it. I
We
can hear
do.
the revs rising.
And the 5 lights once again will come again for the Australian Grand Prix circuit here at Albert Park. We're racing in the Supercars
Good
Championship.
start from Jake Moloney.
It is a good start. He's going to get down the inside, and Dane Warren may well have to relinquish that position unless he can drive around the outside of Jake. But Jake gets a very, very good entry into the first corner, and they're all sort of stuffing it in but behind them.
Thomas McMillan up into third place, so another good move into turn 1 from him as he sets up about him. Dane Warren wasting no time. He wants to get past Jake Moloney immediately down into turn 3, but he's going to have to wait for a little bit longer.
Ooh, immediately defensive there after taking the lead was Jake Moloney, and we've got behind bit of biff and barge going on between between Thomas McMillan and Sean Allen, with Kurt Stenberg watching behind. Looks like he might dive down the inside at turn 6 on Sean Allen and get that 4th place position away from Sean Allen. Just the tiniest little mistake on the exit of the previous corner opened the door for him.
Absolutely, a lot of rubbing there between Sean Allen and Thomas McMillan.
Here we go, Dane Warren down the inside of Jake Moloney for the lead of the race at the chicane. And Jake Moloney is going to try and drive around the outside in an attempt to get his nose on the inside of turn 11. Computer's struggling a little bit in the heat. It's quite a warm day here in Adelaide, and so the computer's starting to overheat a little bit, so that'll tend to sort itself out once the cars start to spread out Madbird. But that is Dane Warren back into the lead of this race.
Yeah, it didn't take long, did it? And Jake Moloney is, while he's pressuring him at the moment, I think that speed of Dane Warren is going to see out as Jake Moloney tries to switch back to the inside. Nothing but marbles out there, mate. It's not worth it. And he's sensibly slots back in behind Dane Warren, and very close behind him, so he's going to get a good drag. But Thomas McMillan behind is going to be thinking, how can I get that second place? As Jake, and that's how he's going to get that second place.
So he's thrown it at the scenery as Jake Moloney, and that's huge big spin there from Thomas McMillan. And we try and find if he's recovered from that.
We're going to be 3 wide down this main straight. With it's a RaceOnOz sandwich with 2 pieces of Trans-Tasman bread, but they managed to pull in behind. And Kurt Stenberg gets past his teammate up into third place, right on the back of Sean Allen. That was some dramatic driving.
And Thomas McMillan is out of the race, so
no.
I don't think he damaged. He's just decided to exit out of the race, so he's a bit of a rage quitter, is Thomas McMillan, unfortunately. We would have loved to see his recovery drive from that, but not to be today. Oh, well, having said that, I didn't think he got hit by anyone else, but he was off the racing line, but he may well have got some assistance, so I might not be correct in saying that, so we'll just let that one go through to the keeper. Sean Allen in second place. Look at the lead Dane Warren has already stretched with these guys
3
going
seconds.
3 wide down the main straight. Unbelievable.
Absolutely ridiculous. That's his burn round then, says Michael Zalavari regarding Thomas McMillan. Did he race last round? Thomas McMillan?
He did, but he didn't pick
do
up
particularly well.
Yeah.
Cool.
It's just basically picking up where he left off last year, I think.
Jake Moloney, right on. There's no team orders going on at Trans-Tasman, obviously.
No.
He's right on the back of Kurt Stenberg going through the switchback. Sean, as we've got the ZB guys who've made a couple of positions off the start in the background there, running line astern as well.
Dominic Ferrari's doing well in 5th place.
Yeah, he's just quietly just hanging in there. He's waiting for something to happen ahead. I imagine something probably will happen involving a car and a wall. Thomas McMillan in chat just saying to censor it, bleep me.
Yes.
Completely agree, Thomas. Very sorry to see it, mate.
Apologies, that message not coming up because we do have an auto censor on our YouTube thing. But yes, I echo those sentiments. Unfortunate to not have Thomas McMillan in this race.
Dominic Ferrari's on the back of Jake Moloney, it must be said. He's and Jake Moloney not helping his case there, going very wide through turn 1. And he got a little bit squiggly as well, so that's going to give Dominic Ferraris a good run down into turn 3. Whether he's able to do anything with it is another matter. It looks like he's holding station for now, as there's a lock up ahead of them. I think that might have been Sean Allen, and Kurt Stenberg is He's got the blood in his ears now. He's all over the back of that RaceOnOz car. He wants the highest position he can possibly get.
That is the goal of motorsport.
Yes.
And at the moment, the highest position you can possibly get looks to be second place, which we did discuss at the start of this race.
Dayne Warren has only extended his advantage by half a second on that lap, which is positively glacial by his standards. So
not according to our timing screen. 51.5 on the last lap, which was the fastest by a second and a half.
I remember this time. Oh, it's blossomed out to a second now. It was only about 3 seconds ahead.
There you go. Maybe he made a mistake on this lap.
Potentially.
Potentially.
Oh, that tickled me.
Ah, good. Oh, we've got a spinner at the back. It's Steve Warwick, father of the broken-footed Colin Warwick there, unfortunately spinning at the turn 11 and 12 complex.
We've got Steve Burko as DNF'd. We missed that.
That's a shame for him as
shame.
well. He had a strong run last night and is leading the Super 2 Championship, but no such luck for him tonight. They're longer races, these guys have.
Well, Kurt Stenberg going
come
down
back
the
to that.
inside at turn 1. Yeah, sorry to cut across you. And it looks like he's backed out of it for now. Sean Allen at the moment holding on to that position. And Kurt's teammate Jake Moloney quickly buying into this as Sean dips his tyres into the grass. Seemed like it was unnecessary. But he's the one driving, not me.
We've lost ambient sound from the cars again, so excuse me while I just try and fix that. Apologies.
As Kurt Stenberg all over the back of Sean Allen. I've got a view on one of my monitors of a swingman view from Sean Allen's perspective, and every now and then I can just see Kurt Stenberg's nose just working its way into the bottom of shot, getting quite close to the back of Sean Allen, and then slowly slipping back away again. So he's making sure that he is more than aware that he has got the current championship defending champion right behind him, right up his chuff.
Yeah, so just on that point about the Super 2 drivers who made the leap up to the main game tonight, courtesy of the wildcard, they only do 20 laps total for a Monday night over 2 10-lap races. So these races are a little bit longer, and they have to contend with more tyre wear than they probably normally would have during a Super 2 race, and just the concentration over a longer period of the night.
It is quite a long race. What is it, 20 laps, about 2 minutes a lap. So
about 40 minutes,
about
roughly.
40 minutes, yeah.
I'll have to bring up the results for...
Dominic Ferraris managing to keep touch with this front battle, proving again that he is not no slouch. He's keeping in touch with these Trans-Tasman guys of Kurt Stenberg and Jake Moloney. Dayne Warren sets the fastest lap of the race, surprising no one.
What was that?
Lordy me. That was a clipboard. It was a clipboard.
Madbird, do you remember something fell over during the previous broadcast? We didn't know what it was?
Yes.
Yeah. Still have no idea.
Excellent.
Doesn't look like I'm going to get to the bottom of that
Thanks for bringing it up. I'd forgotten about that particular mystery.
Just thought you might want an update
moved on with my life, but now I'm going to be thinking about it again.
Well, that's the sitch.
Oop, that's the sitch. Exact.
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 It's important to shorten words in this hustle and bustle world that we live in. Sean Allen is very, very hard-pressed to hold on to that second place position, isn't he?
He's doing well.
Trans-Tasman beasts underneath his rear wing.
Absolutely, as he's covering off the inside, going down into the switchback.
Absolutes.
But as a pause, as I cut across you there a little bit.
Yep.
Sean Allen managing to hold on to it, but it looks like Kurt Stenberg had a better run through the switchback. I do enjoy those very slight colour changes. The orange on Kurt Stenberg's car versus the yellowy green on Jake Moloney's makes it a lot easier to tell which car is which.
They're certainly men after our own hearts, these guys who make these liveries, because they make a commentator's life very much easier.
Oh,
Jeez, Kurt Stenberg is...
bit of a, he's pushing, isn't he? He wants that position.
He's a meat in the sandwich with the bread that I can't buy because there's none left. That was a very laboured analogy.
Excellent. As he's pulling out to the inside for turn 1, but he pulls back in again. He just doesn't have the doesn't have the pace coming out the last corner to get up alongside. Although he might have the pace to get up alongside into turn 3. Sean Allen covering the inside well off, right out on the grass.
Well off.
Well off. As they shoot on down towards turn 3. Again, just not enough pace to get up alongside from Kurt Stenberg, and Sean Allen holds on to that second position. If this is going to be the entire race, Sean Allen is going to be sore by the end of it.
On the bum.
Yep. Yeah.
Well,
Lordy me.
we know that the guys who pit early in the first race took a lot of pain at the end of the race, and it tended to be the guys who pitted later and held their nerve who prevailed in those battles. So it'll be interesting to see. It would be very tempting to come in at the end of this lap if you're Sean Allen and get out of this battle, but the thing that will most likely happen is that they'll follow you in a couple of laps later, and then they'll have better tyres until the end of the race, and basically you only make the situation worse for yourself.
Absolutely. It's the sort of situation where Jake Moloney might think about diving in. He's currently behind his teammate and another quick runner.
But you said that at a similar situation last race, and he didn't do it.
He didn't do it, and it worked out well for him. So it just goes to show that you shouldn't listen to me.
Yeah.
I appreciate you saying that.
You know.
But I don't know, the situation's a bit different because he's not going to... Like, this is all time that he could be making if he was on fresh tyres, punching out laps by himself. It might not matter that the others are on fresh tyres at the end if he's got if he's got 20 seconds up his sleeve.
I thought we had a car in the pits there because I could only account for 2 of them. It's because one of them was completely underneath the other car's wing. And here goes Kurt Stenberg down the inside of turn 1. Doesn't get the job done. Sean Allen, we know, is a master under the brakes. They all go a little bit deep there, though. And that's going to be a very, very good run. No way Sean Allen is going to open the inside there, but he doesn't know which one to cover. One's coming for the outside, the other one's coming for the inside. This time, Kurt Stenberg with the late move. Does he get it stopped? There's contact, and Kurt Stenberg's around, and Sean Allen is off into the gravel trap. Both of them recover, and Jake Moloney drives right through the middle of them, and Dominic Ferraris is up onto the podium. So we've got the same 1, 2, 3 currently that we had at the end of race 1.
Oh, that's a damn shame. That was it looked a little bit opportunistic from Kurt Stenberg down the inside, but I'd probably have to see a replay, which I'm currently trying to get on our spare monitor so I can see exactly what happened.
Yeah, a bit hard to tell from the angle that we were looking at, but the onboard will certainly tell us more. And Sean Allen has got a lot of work to do, so he's rejoined ahead of Kurt Stenberg, so he'll probably be a bit frustrated about that whole situation, but the man who was trying to overtake him is still behind him. It's just that they now have 2 other cars in front of them both.
I personally don't think Kurt Stenberg was making that corner without Sean Allen getting in the way. That looked like he had a bit too much speed coming into it.
Hard to tell.
But then Sean Allen did turn in quite aggressively while he was sitting right there, so he didn't really give him any space to try to make the corner.
6 of one, half a dozen of the other.
Yeah, racing incident, I would expect. But that doesn't help. That doesn't help Kurt Stenberg.
Tell you who it does help though is Jake Moloney and Dominic Ferraris. And Dominic Ferraris is actually closed in a little bit on Jake Moloney, if anything, on this lap, I would think.
If there's any love lost between Kurt Stenberg and Sean Allen, it's not going to take long for them to come to blows because Kurt Stenberg is right on the back of Sean Allen again and is in fact going down the inside of him.
Good gracious.
So, wonder if that's Sean Allen letting him through, or if it was just a really bad exit from Sean Allen, because that seemed very easy.
That gap was a lot bigger.
Unless Sean Allen...
Why would he let him through?
If he felt that he was the one that...
aggressively turned in.
if he felt like he was the one at fault, perhaps he was forfeiting the position.
I don't know. He's a very fair driver.
He is a very fair driver.
I think sometimes fair drivers can be a little bit too hard on themselves.
They can penalise themselves unnecessarily.
But I don't know. I'm just an idiot.
Yep.
Thanks for your...
I felt like that nothing else needed to be said.
Yeah, I think we're 15 all now.
Yeah, I think we are. So Dominic Ferraris, he's only about a second back on Jake Moloney, so he's not being blown away.
Yeah, he was a bit closer this time last lap, so I think he is starting to get blown away.
Oh, well, now I am the idiot.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm going to have to return serve at some stage of this race.
I've got a break point, mate.
Yep. No.
Tennis.
Another sport I know almost nothing about.
None of it being played this year, so I'm basically forgetting how it works.
Excellent.
I know there's...
We're going to, next year, all these sports are going to come back and we're going to be like, oh, is that a free kick?
I'm kind of hoping that all of the athletes forget how to play their sport and we get
Make it a
this
lot
like,
interesting.
huge amount of amateurish behaviour going on.
I imagine they're all doing a lot of training.
Yeah, I hope not, though.
Yeah, I hope not as well. As Dominic Ferraris gets a little bit happy there. On the
Yeah,
exit of-
is that a Greg on his roof? Because he's got a wiggle on.
So Jake Moloney stretching away somewhat.
Not going to address that one.
Literally no response. As
Fantastic.
Kurt Stenberg has left Sean Allen in the dust in the background there.
Just a wee bit there.
Just a wee bit.
What else is going on? Alex Cattle is involved in a little bit of a battle right now.
That's a bit of a train behind him.
Don't know what happened to David Nenadic. He's clearly come adrift somewhere and
I
floated
believe-
off into the ocean.
I think I saw much earlier on when him and Zach Baker were line astern, he went very deep at turn 13 and into the gravel, so lost a lot of time, I believe. Alex Cattle doing well, up 2 positions. Got Colin Warwick.
The broken-footed Colin
the
Warwick.
Eastern Grey broken-footed Colin Warwick.
He's not grey just yet.
No.
Probably will be when he approaches.
Tell you what was
older
grey
age.
were his underpants that were on display.
You remember that, do you?
At the Bathurst. I don't think I'm ever gonna have that out of my mind.
Colours are not something I tend to remember, though.
Well, no, but when you realise that a man is underpantsed in front of you,
For those who've just joined us, do
tend
you
to
want to
notice.
just give us the abridged version?
The abridged version is
what
that
on earth you're talking about?
We met Colin Warwick at the Bathurst 12 hour, and unbeknownst to me at first, he had his pants around his ankles to cool down, and
What a strange sentence.
and I quickly became aware of this as he told me.
Uh-huh.
Yes, that was a sight I was not expecting to see.
You didn't have eyes?
I had eyes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But not for his underpants.
Another thing I wasn't expecting to see was a man in a Great Northern shirt sitting inside an esky. That is nevertheless something I did see. The people that you see at Bathurst.
It was a hot day.
It was a bloody hot day.
Thankfully, there was some relief with a free dirt blast.
How good is getting sandblasted on top of the mountain for free?
At least we got to go to that before everything got shut down.
We did, absolutely.
I keep bringing it up. I apologise. Dane Warren leading at the moment by 14 seconds. That is a huge lead. Sorry, I've just cut away from an overtake occurring. That's David Nenadic going down the inside of Jay Borg, and they're all in the pits. Cattle and Colin Warwick.
And someone else up ahead of them is also in the pits. That is Sean Allen. Mm-hmm.
So Sean Allen
making the
is
move
the
early.
first of the front runners to pit. Dominic Ferraris as well. Just as well they came into the pits because we're seeing this little ballet take place.
Little ballet.
Dane Warren has stayed out, mind you. And that's Steve Warwick for no reason. Here is Dane Warren. Proof. Jake Moloney stayed out as well. Colin Warwick's on the move, meanwhile, in the pit lane.
Kurt Stenberg also out, still right there.
And it looks like we've got Alex Cattle staying in the pits a fair bit longer than Colin Warwick. So either Colin Warwick going marginal on fuel, or Alex Cattle being maybe a little bit too cautious. One or the other, I would think. So Jake Moloney has stretched away from Kurt Stenberg just a little bit.
He has indeed.
Yeah.
What's funny about that?
I don't know,
just the complete lack of useful information.
I think it was a lack of interest on your part. That's what it sounded like anyway.
It wasn't a lack of interest, it was just, and Dane Warren's in the pits. So cutting it in half, and why bloody not when you've got a 14-second lead, or a 10-second lead
Makes
as it happens to be now.
Sean Allen's behind... Oh, that's
He
Steve
pit.
Warwick, beg your pardon. No, he has pit, yes. I saw him behind Warwick, but it's Steve Warwick who hasn't pit.
And we got one of the
That's-
Trans-Tasmans.
Yeah, that'll be...
Kurt Stenberg.
That'll be
Jake
Kurt.
Moloney stayed out.
He has, which is what he did in the first race, but these other guys are all splitting the race exactly in half, which I'd say is a sensible thing to do.
It is a sensible thing to do.
So we're now waiting for Jake Moloney to make his pit stop. Dominic Ferraris, meanwhile, is just making his way past Steve Warwick on completely different strategies, of course, so it makes no sense at all for Steve Warwick to hold Dominic Ferrari's up as Dayne Warren gets on the move. So, who's it we're waiting for? Jake Moloney. We're waiting for Jake Moloney to come into the pits, so he's just coming around turn 5 at the moment as we watch Dayne Warren exiting the pit lane.
Kurt Stenberg in the pits, I believe.
He is. You said that about 30 seconds
do
ago.
apologise.
He's just exiting the pits.
Yes, God, I was thinking it was the other Trans-Tasman racer.
He had dropped a lot of time to Jake Moloney before making that pit stop, so it'll be interesting to see if he gains any of it back.
So he's kept ahead of Sean Allen during
but not
that pit
Dominic
stop.
Ferrari.
Oh, yeah, who's managed to get past. Excellent work.
Who was ahead of him anyway.
Yeah.
But he's actually retained the position.
Although I think that is truncated compared to how it was.
It is.
Prior to the pit stops.
Wonder how experienced Dominic Ferraris is with these pit stops. He might have given up a bit of time that way. Jake Moloney leads the race.
Yeah, waiting to see
By
him
virtue of not having made his pit stop.
duck into the pits. I wonder if he'll run as long as he did last time, which would mean another lap after this one before he pits.
Put him in very good stead for a strong finish. Has to be said.
It does.
Good battle with Thomas McMillan, which won't be repeated in this race.
Unfortunately.
Due to Thomas McMillan's absence, which was caused by a crash. It wasn't even a crash, it was a spin at the end of the first lap.
Span coming out of the last corner and directly into the wall, so damn shame for Thomas McMillan.
Well,
and
who
shame
hasn't
for us.
pitted?
Jake Moloney.
That's it.
Still hasn't pit.
Has not made
Still-
it into the pit lane.
still
So
going.
12 laps at least.
Brodie Steen as well, I reckon, has not pit yet.
Let's have a look. No, he has.
He
He's just come
has.
in.
Oh, the
Well-
commentator's curse, but in a different way.
Well, to be fair, when you said it, that was true, because he was just on the pit entry when
That's
you said
very
that.
true. He could have technically not come into the pits. Jay Borg, I believe,
Yeah,
behind.
Jay Borg as well. So this is all coming out in the wash.
I believe this is the last of our Oh, and Steve Warwick, I believe, has not pit yet as well, as we discussed earlier.
It's a bit like hidden tissues in your pockets. It's coming out in the wash. You know, when you put them in the washing machine, you're like,
Oh, yeah.
God damn it, I thought I checked all my pockets. You know, there's little bits and pieces of
Oh, yeah.
tissue paper all over
It's
my
not
clothes.
something I do because I'm intelligent.
Oh, I see. Well, that's not something I've ever laid claim to. Being intelligent, that is. I try.
Jake Moloney still not in the pits.
No, he's not. It'll be interesting to see where he comes out in relation to Kurt Stenberg.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking, is how close is that going to be on track?
Again, it's this. We don't know whether it's the tyres degrading over time or the time you save not fueling up.
Which is the lesser of the two evils.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They're two evils and you're sort of sitting there picking them like ketchup? Catsup. No idea.
And then the harsh reality of Chief Wiggum comes up and says, and escorts you from the shop, and you find yourself in the wall.
Jake Moloney approaching the pit entry now. Let's see if he pulls the trigger.
Nope.
Whoa, I've thought he was jinking to it.
No, he just looked like I mean, those tyres must be going off because it looked like he was barely in control of that thing.
Let's have a look at his lap time.
Turns 14 and 15. 152.9. So
Dayne Warren's had a pretty shocking lap the previous lap. That was probably his out lap though.
0.6 off his best, Jake Moloney. So not horrible.
And it's consistent. It's only about a 10th slower than his previous lap. And if we compare that to Kurt Stenberg, we haven't seen a benchmark from him yet because it was his out lap. So the sectors though, he's pulling quite a few tenths back in the middle sector. Of course, with those fresher tyres. The middle sector, Mad Bird, has the turn 11 and 12. No, it doesn't. I lie. That's sector 3. So everything I just said was rubbish. But anyway,
what else is new?
there's a lot of slow speed, sort of finicky changes of direction.
There are.
in
There's
the middle
lots
sector.
of little kinks left and right that fresh tyres would aid greatly on.
Jake's trying something out here.
He's going about as he must be running low on fuel at this stage. So he's running as long as he possibly can.
Yeah, they reckon we probably get to lap 14.
Which he's rapidly approaching.
He is.
End of this lap, indeed.
It's going to be an absolutely stellar run. Look out for some quick lap times from Jake Moloney towards the end of this race.
Dominic Ferraris not falling into Kurt Stenberg clutches.
No, but I have a feeling that Jake's going to jump these drivers both. He was Dominic Ferraris was ahead of. No, he wasn't ahead of.
He was
Jake
behind
Moloney.
Jake Moloney,
He was
but
behind
ahead
Jake
of
Moloney.
Kurt Stenberg and Sean Allen. So
Yeah, so that's actually as it was.
Jake Moloney, there he go. No.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, he is in this time.
Okay.
No bones about that one. With the lap 14 was a number. We were expecting some of the drivers to be able to make that, the ones who used less fuel. Jake Moloney, one of the faster guys, using a little bit more fuel, but definitely not the thirstiest of drivers.
No, he probably has a water bottle in the car.
Now this is hotting up between Dominic Ferraris and Kurt Stenberg.
As I had said that he was not falling into the clutches of Kurt Stenberg, he has now, in fact, fallen into the clutches of Kurt Stenberg. Bump drafting almost through turn 13. And Jake Moloney is moving from his pit box. So,
he is.
Yeah, he's going to come out ahead of these boys.
Yeah, here he is right now, just approaching the end of the pit lane. But we want to watch this battle between Dominic Ferraris and Kurt Stenberg. Jake has just hit the pit exit now, so he'll have about half the straight. He's still got to get up to speed though, and there they are in the back of shots. So he has extended his lead over Dominic Ferraris, I would say, but not by a huge amount.
This is some impressive driving from Dominic Ferraris. I know we keep saying we're surprised by it. We obviously need to stop being. But he's doing some decent defensive driving here against Kurt Stenberg.
The defending champion who wants his first podium of the championship.
Yeah, desperate. But he's gone 3 races, 2 of them which he didn't even take part in, and the third one which he crashed out of in the first lap. Spent the entire time recovering. Ended up in 4th, tantalisingly close. He does not want to sit there again.
He allayed his frustrations by absolutely destroying the competition in the Automobilista Australia Supercars Championship in the last 2 rounds.
Did he
4
indeed?
from 4. Well, to be fair, he didn't exactly destroy Thomas Vermeulen, who gave him a good run for his money, but he has won every race, and some of them were by some sort of big margin.
He's quite a good driver. He did win several iterations of the Bathurst 1000 last year.
Yeah, 3 from 3. Imagine that. That's 3,000 kilometres of racing,
Jeez.
all of which nothing much going terribly wrong for him.
That's consistency.
Here we go. He's got a good run on the run down to turn 13 with the inside line. Dominic Ferraris will try and drive around the outside, but he will not. He will back out of that one a little bit earlier. Oh, big spin there from Kurt Stenberg, but absolutely kissed on the appendage there. That Dominic Ferraris was there to right him.
I was about to say, oh my goodness.
Wow.
That Dominic Ferraris is going to wish that he had a much worse turn 13 there and came out with plenty of space for Kurt Stenberg to spin in.
Because Kurt was absolutely 100% spinning around.
He was, and then Dominic Ferraris just right there to catch him when he fell.
Yeah,
I believe that's a lyric. Don't know what song it is though.
Goes without saying, Dane Warren is in the lead now. He has
18 seconds.
Yeah, approaching 20 seconds of a lead over Jake Moloney, who's probably will have stretched his lead, it's fair to say, after that
only 2 seconds
moment between Kurt and Dominic. That was a bit wild, says Wilton's Warrior.
Yes.
Not wrong, not wrong. Glad to have you with us, Wilton's Warrior. And we hope you're enjoying the action here. As that is a big slide from Dominic Ferraris. I think he will probably be happy to bring home this 4th place, but Sean Allen isn't too far behind him. Now, Sean Allen's really lost out, hasn't he? He's about 3 seconds behind.
He has last time
You're looking
around.
at the timing screen.
Last time around, he was a 152.3, so he's not miles away times-wise. He's just lost out. 153.8 was the previous one from Dominic Ferraris, so Sean Allen, you would expect, will begin to close in. It's about 3 seconds right now. Right out sideways, says Wilton's Warrior. That's correct.
Absolutely.
That's one of the cliches we don't use.
That's a scaphism. No, we did make our way through quite a few of the scaphisms in last year's Bathurst 1000.
We made our way through all of them, didn't we? I would hope.
We certainly tried.
Fastest corner in Australian motorsport.
It's our grand final. This isn't our grand final. This is our first round match between...
Second round match.
Second round match. I'm trying to... I was going to say between Richmond and Carlton, but I can't think of a traditional second round match because
I don't think there is
not
one.
such a thing.
No.
We'll be lucky if we get a second round match this year.
That's going to be bizarre, isn't it?
Yeah.
Anyway, we said we wouldn't talk about it.
It's a little bit. It's something of a preoccupation, isn't
Yeah,
it?
it's difficult not to. It's pervading everything at the moment,
The
isn't it?
fifth and sixth between Sean Allen and Brodie Steen, the two RaceOnOz drivers. So it's a decent points haul for those two who are looking, as I mentioned earlier in the broadcast, to hold on to their crown of the best team championship or the team points. Best team in the drivers in the
The winners of the drivers'
Yeah, there you
championship
go.
or the
I
team's championship.
just kept digging a hole there.
You
didn't
did.
I?
You just kept on digging it with your appendage. Sean Allen has closed up on Dominic Ferraris a bit in this previous lap. He's now only 2.2 seconds behind, so better part of a second out of that advantage. So that fourth place might be Sean Allen's for the taking. My call of Sean Allen for second place has gone right out the window.
Yeah, that was a pretty terrible choice, wasn't it? I think I said Jake Moloney, but then sort of added to that I didn't want to be boring. But not to say that this race has been boring. There has been intrigue. It's probably a good time to do our patented stock take.
Make something happen.
So that is Dane Warren. That is your race leader. He's been absolutely untouchable today. To be fair, it was the same story last year. He was the class of the field in this particular race. We're going to a very, very different circuit next round in Symmons Plains, so it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. But Jake Moloney in second place. He was another one who was very, very strong at the beginning of last year, and it fell away towards the end. But certainly not falling away towards the end of this race. I'm looking at his lap times.
He's extended that advantage over Kurt Stenberg. Oh,
yeah.
A little bit
A
wiggly.
bit of a moment there. He does have some fresher tyres, pretty much the freshest of anyone on the grid right now.
I think freshest of everyone. I don't think anyone pit after him.
Yes, I just say pretty much because that way
You're covered.
it's like an insurance policy.
Kurt Stenberg
In third place.
in third place, up from fifth. Compared to his first race, this is positively fantastic.
Yeah, it's been a shaky start to his championship defence, but I'm sure he'll be happy to get some decent points on the board, and a podium is a good way to start. And Jake Moloney and Dane Warren, no shame in coming third to those two. Fourth place currently being held down by Dominic Ferraris, but Sean Allen is chipping away at that advantage, pushing very hard by the looks of it, because he's got a track cut on the previous lap, has Sean Allen, with the lap time not showing up on our live timing screen, which usually indicates that. There is Sean Allen, and the gap is currently sitting 1.7 seconds. Yeah, put a bookmark on that one. Write it in your notebook. Here's another battle that looks like it might kick off soon. Brodie Steen has Zach Baker underneath his rear wing. The two Mustangs. Well, let's just stay with this one for a little while, shall we? And we'll keep an eye as well on that battle between Sean Allen and Dominic Ferraris. But at the moment, it's Brodie Steen holding off Zach Baker, who has been catching up to him at a fair old rate of knots. Took 0.8 of a second, Madbird, out of him on the previous lap.
Yeah, it hasn't been particularly good round for the ZB Racing guys, but Zach Baker, if he manages to get this sixth place, that's some pretty decent points, and they're definitely going to want that. They're probably one of the higher performing teams, the ZB Racing guys.
Yeah, they were very highly placed in last year's championship as well, with two strong drivers. Oh, that's a big moment there for Zach Baker.
It was a very big, got a bit of a switch back on.
Zach Baker and David Nenadich came very close, I thought, last year to winning the Bathurst 1000.
Very unlucky not to, I think. They
just circumstance robbed them.
But still, second was a very good showing for them.
I think if anything, he's just dropped off on this lap from Brodie Steen. So
that moment has just put paid to that for a little bit.
The broken-footed Western Colin Warwick in 8th place. Western, I should say, Eastern. Kurt Stenberg's Western. Driving very well, it has to be said. We've been making a bit of light out of this, but he's been an absolute trooper tonight to collect some decent points despite having a broken foot, which we detailed earlier on in the broadcast because one of his teammates in his footy team stepped on his foot while he was wearing no shoes, and that has got to be something that is giving him a bit of grief right now, especially towards the end of the night.
Very much not to be desired.
9th place is David Nenadich, who has to be said, closing in on Colin Warwick. Colin Warwick in the 54s on the previous lap, and David Nenadic in the high 52s, so that might be a position that changes hands towards the end of this race. Jay Borg rounds out the top 10, and then we've got Alex Cattle and RSM Latino, the remaining drivers, on the lead lap, with Steve Warwick in 13th place.
You say towards the end of the race. It's lap 18. We are towards the end of the race.
Yeah, well,
So
towards the... getting closer to the end of the race, I suppose.
that feels like it's gone quick. 34 minutes. Doesn't feel like that. So what positions do we reckon might change? Sean Allen is now within a second of Dominic Ferraris, as we're seeing right here.
Yeah, well, there was the battle between Brodie Steen and Zach Baker, which is starting to fizzle out, just looking at the live timing screen, and David Nenadic may well catch up to Colin Warwick, so we'll
Put a bookmark on that one as well.
That's starting to become a bit of a catchphrase, a bit of a cliche, isn't it?
Make a clip inaudible so that we can come back to that one.
That's a very specific one.
Highly recommend Audible, fantastic service. If you want to give us money, please do.
Well, we're approaching the sponsor thing the wrong way, I believe. We've got to come to the sponsors first instead of hoping that they watch us. David Nenadic, in fact, has made his way past Colin Warwick in the last couple of laps, so we've missed that.
That happened in emphatic style. He's got 2-second lead already.
So we'll come
maybe
back.
An issue to maybe a accident for Colin Warwick.
Yeah, there might be something wrong with his foot.
Funny that. 0.7 of a second now between Dominic Ferraris and Sean Allen, so it's not coming down super quick, but it is nevertheless coming down. We've got a lap to go after this one, so about a lap and a half for Sean Allen to make this move. Dominic Ferraris just looking like his tyres are starting to hurt a little bit. He seems to be a little bit leery on the exits of most corners, which will only be helping Sean Allen out, who's already cut that down to 0.4.
Got a lot of experience in keeping some big names behind him tonight, hasn't he?
He does. Yeah, he did very well keeping not Colin Warwick, Kurt Stenberg behind him for as long as he did.
The leader's just started the last lap. Dane Warren coming to turn 1 on lap 20, Madbird.
Lap 20, and he's 20 seconds ahead, so dominant performance from Dane Warren.
And I have a feeling he's just been cruising for the last 10 of those laps.
Yeah, I don't imagine he's pushing too hard. I certainly wouldn't be.
Yeah, Sean Allen's just lost a few car lengths through this final sector of the penultimate lap. Oh, big moment there for Dominic Ferraris. Lit up the rears on the exit of turn 16 and hasn't lost too much ground to Sean Allen, but he'll be a nervous Nelly at the end of this race. Look how much Sean Allen closes up under brakes and then stretches out again. It's that concertina effect that's oh so frustrating when you're the car behind trying to overtake.
It looks like you're so much closer than you are. Sean Allen, however, is quite close as he goes in right behind Dominic Ferraris into turn 3 and then turn 4. He's tantalizingly close. All it'll take is one little swapper for Dominic Ferraris, and I reckon Sean Allen will be through.
Sean Allen is very, very late on the brakes there. A little bit of a wiggle there from Dominic Ferraris, but he's held onto the position for now.
That's getting very close.
Stay with this battle until Dane Warren comes across the line. Dane Warren's just coming up to the chicane at the moment. No, he's not. He's coming up to the other guys at the chicane. He's coming up to the penultimate corner. So Sean Allen, he's just a little bit too far away. It's very tantalising, Manbird.
It is. I reckon he's going to have a good run into turn 13 if he can get a good switchback. Looks like he has.
Final corner here for Dane Warren. He comes across the line. The other guys are side by side, but here's Dane Warren across the line and in dramatic style. 11s is it. Here's the battle for the final spot.
For fourth place.
Sorry, it's not the final spot on the podium. It's the fourth place. If the podium was 4 steps, then it would be the final spot on the podium. But it looks like he's holding on. Jake Moloney's going to come across the line ahead of Kurt Stenberg.
Oh, no!
He's got into him. He's got into him.
No.
Oh, he's going to wait for him.
He's got to wait for him, surely.
They have a big gap.
Although I reckon Dominic Ferraris has just looped
it.
He's
He can't get it.
He can't get it going in the right direction.
He's panicked.
Oh, no.
Sean Allen was 100% going to let him have that.
Here comes Brodie Steen, so that's a free kick for Brodie Steen to take 5th position.
Oh, well, Sean Allen's inadvertently helped his teammate there. Brodie Steen may well end up on the podium. Sorry, not on the podium. We're talking about fourth place. What the hell am I talking about?
Yeah, if there's a penalty to Sean Allen, which I suspect might be forthcoming, that was It didn't look intentional, but just the last, it was the corner before last in just a desperate attempt to get up.
It's bitterly disappointing for
Dominic
Ferraris.
Yeah, it's a damn shame. But regardless, that's the that's the podium. You can see it right there.
Yeah, driving in formation.
Beautiful.
And some burnouts there for Dane Warren, and a great result for Trans-Tasman Racing. They're kicking off their response to the early lead held by Altus in the Teams Championship. Trans-Tasman Racing with second and third will certainly catch a fair bit there. With Ethan Warren here, not here tonight, it'll probably be between Trans-Tasman Racing and RaceOnOz at the end of this. So I haven't done the maths, Madbird, but
no,
it'll be a very, very
be
good
quite
turn up
close
for the books
because
for TTR.
Very good finishes for Trans-Tasman, but they were quite a long way behind in the Teams Championship, having only one runner in the first round. So RaceOnOz might have just pipped them, but it'll be quite close, I reckon. Remember that next round when it probably isn't anywhere near close.
Chris Carr will, of course, be doing all the points, and we thank him for all his fantastic work.
Absolutely. All the people that do all the... So Kurt Stenberg and Colin Warwick obviously running the group and doing their fair share of technical stuff as well. Colin Warwick, I think, doing most of the graphics for the... Not for
done
the
a lot of liveries,
broadcast.
I believe. Yes.
Yep. But
no, I do the broadcast graphics.
You do the broadcast graphics, which are, I must say, fantastic. I reckon Dane Warren may have run out of fuel.
Yeah, well, he's done a lot of done a lot of spinning his tyres without going anywhere.
So he's getting pushed home by Kurt Stenberg.
Good thing fuel's cheap at the moment.
Yeah, very cheap.
I kid. They're not actually using real fuel because this is all in a game.
Very much so.
But Kurt Stenberg, being the admin that he is, he's going under his own steam.
He seems to be. He's coasting a little bit.
Hard to tell.
Anyway,
he'll want that photo op. Kurt.
He will want that photo op,
especially with a double podium for TTR. That's the first podium he's had in the championship. Certainly not Jake Moloney's first podium. Is he 3 from 3?
He's been on the
4
podium
from 4,
all 4 races, yep.
Yeah, well done.
Because he got a third and a second in the first round, and he's gotten 2 seconds in the second round.
So I'm going to assume, I haven't done the maths of course, but I'm going to assume that puts Jake Moloney in the lead of the championship, because he was joint leader at the start of tonight, and he's done better than anyone else, apart from Dane Warren.
Who missed a race, I believe.
Yeah, he did miss a race, but
he was actually... photo op is not happening.
Oh, that's a bit of a mess, isn't it? Someone's lost their front bar. That's Zach Baker in the 512 car.
Mm-hmm.
All right, well, let's...
Fantastic.
Let's put that one to bed. That was race 2, Madbird.
That was, and that's round 1. Oh, sorry, that's round 2 of the Automobilista Supercars Championship.
Don't miss round 3. That's coming up in...
What even
a few
is
weeks,
round 3?
It's 7th of April at the Simmons Plains Raceway.
Plains.
The real-life lap record there held by Alfredo Constanzo.
Oh, that's right. Alfredo Constanzo.
Constanzo, yeah,
Thank
fantastic.
you very much. Luke Boozer, really enjoyed watching this for the first time. Lesson learned was don't post without checking what you've actually written. Good to have you along, Luke. Bluke, I almost called you. Glad you enjoyed.
Hope you'll tune in for the next round.
Hope to see you next time.
7th of April. Most of us probably won't have anything else to do, so we can't wait. We're starting to see some drivers popping up into the waiting room. Now, if you are watching these broadcasts afterwards, please do pop up without... I don't think I have the ability to move people up into the broadcast chat, so just do come in. If you happen to finish on the podium, we're going to chat to all of our podium sitters, aren't we, Madbird?
We are. I believe that they need to be dragged up by an admin.
Yes.
In which case it's Colin Warwick or Kurt Stenberg.
Or Chris Carr.
Speaking of Kurt Stenberg stairs, I believe we have him. He may be our first podium sitter.
Well, he was third in race number 2, and... had a very good recovery drive in race 1, and probably I said during the broadcast, Kurt, that you probably would have taken 4th place. Was it 4th or 5th?
Yep.
4th place, given that the issues at the start of the lap put you at the back of the grid. So a decent haul of points after your disastrous opening round last round in Adelaide.
Exactly right, mate. It was good to get back to fourth after that drummer on the start. Just to fill you guys in a little bit, I did not have a working clutch off the start line, hence why I got one of the worst starts in human history. And my throttle actually broke on the grid as well, and I had the throttle partially locked on, and it changed the whole amount the throttle was coming on. Hence why when I picked up the throttle at turn 3, I've just picked it up and I've spun myself around in front of the field. So yeah, not optimal. I had to race on with that and then fix it between races. So good to get a good result though in both of them.
Yeah, well, considering those issues that you had in race 1, that is a remarkable effort to recover and get that 4th place finish.
Yeah, mate. After about 4 laps, you kind of get used to how it drives. So I just got used to it and went on with it. So, and I just tried to play the pit stops to give me the best hand possible, and a few other people DNF'd and had their own dramas, which helped me out, which was really good for me, not for them, but for me.
Absolutely. Well, certainly an exciting night of racing for us, and I guess as you were crawling your way back through the grid in race 1, you would have seen a fair bit of that and got to say hello to a lot of the other competitors in the championship.
Yeah, there was lots of racing happening up and down the field. Lots of people close, lots of little battle packs, and then there was that battle pack in race 2 that I was in. That was probably the most exciting thing that I was involved in all night.
Well, we're waiting to see if some of the other podium sitters come in, but Kurt, during the off season, we've had you in the Automobilista Australia Supercars Championship and getting some good results in there as well.
Yeah, mate. Been using that for practice for this round, but last round, yeah, I went in there, had a go at that. It's mainly because I didn't really get a chance to show what I had last round, and it was really, I wanted to race. I just want to race and have fun. So yeah, I've done both those races and I've had very good results in that championship. So yeah, hopefully we can get those kind of results in this championship in the rounds coming forward. But I doubt it when we've got people like Dane Warren and Jake Moloney that are just a little bit out of my league.
Absolutely. Well, we wish you the best of luck in the next round in Tasmania, Kurt. So well done on some good points tonight.
No worries. Thanks, Des.
We've also got Dominic Ferraris with us, who got his first podium in the Automobilista Supercars Championship in race 1, and very, very nearly 4th place in race 2. Dominic, tell us about your night.
Yeah, it was fun. Didn't do much practice. Decided to come over run and try to stay out of trouble. First race was pretty good. Just let other people make mistakes. And I wasn't the fastest guy, but kept it out of the walls. And then the second race, I was on for another good result, but unfortunately got turned, which, you know, it happens. I'll get over it.
Yeah, well, I guess we'll just focus on what happened to you in race number 1. You probably thought all your Christmases had come at once when you found yourself in that podium position towards the end. It must have been quite a nerve-wracking time when you saw Kurt coming up behind you.
Yeah, I was suffering major rear tyres. They were all gone, and I was just waiting for Kurt to get close. And I'm not sure how close he got. I think it was like a second or so, but yeah, it was very tight. I was just happy to...
Absolutely. Well, congratulations on a very, very strong night of racing from you, Dominic. We look forward to seeing what you do in the future.
Thank you.
And Mad Bird, you've got Jake Moloney there, second place in both races, and if I'm not mistaken, he must be the championship leader still.
Yeah, I would expect so. Probably refreshing not starting from the back of the grid or in the pits this round, Jake. How did you find tonight, mate?
Yeah, I didn't turn the car off on the grid and not have a button to restart it this round, so that's a positive.
It's a positive.
Yeah, it was probably not very quick. Sort of had to change setups between races to try and find speed, but probably maximised with 2 second places with how quick Dane was. Wasn't going to be able to catch him tonight.
Yeah, fair enough. You were in quite a tight battle during both races, actually, for the podium positions. Second race less so, but in the first race you were tussling with Sean Allen and Thomas McMillan for that podium position. How did you find the racing tonight?
Yeah, it was good. It was good fun. Yeah, no, it's quite a fun track to race people at. And yeah, I enjoyed racing around other people. Definitely a lot more fun than sort of driving around by yourself, so it was good to have people to race.
Absolutely. Congratulations on your 2 second place finishes tonight and probably your provisional championship lead.
Cheers, guys.
Stairs, I believe you have dual race winner and probably fastest guy tonight, Dane Warren.
Yeah, absolutely. Dual pole sitter as well. There's no question that it was Dane Warren, the class of the field tonight. So congratulations to you, Dane. How did you find it out there?
Well, if I said anything other than quite good, I'd make myself look like a bit of an idiot. But no, the car was quite good tonight. Had quite a good base to go off from last year, so just stuck with that, and yeah, it seemed to work pretty well, I think.
Yeah, well, you held the track record in Automobilista Supercars Championship from last year already, but you've moved the benchmark once again.
Yeah, it's not too bad. I think we're seems to be a year of breaking records this year. I think we're in the 51s last year and straight into the 50s this year, so it's looking pretty good for us. Just try and see how the rest of the year looks after us.
Absolutely. Simmons Plains is the next round, so how do you feel about that circuit?
If I could even remember the track, I'm terrible with names, but I'll give it a crack. I'm pretty optimistic considering our form for the first 2 rounds, so hopefully go in there with a bit of pace and take another couple of wins.
Fantastic, and if you do that, I'm pretty sure you will be in the championship lead if you're not already. So congratulations on a very, very strong night for you, Dane, and we look forward to seeing you next round.
Yep, cheers.
Well, Madbird, that's pretty much all we have time for. Any closing thoughts on the night's action?
No, it was bloody good. A lot of fun. Really enjoyed the battles up and down the field, as Kurt was saying. In race 1 in particular, it was action-packed from start to finish, even for the podium positions, so that was fantastic. And then in the second race as well, some decent battling, particularly towards the end between Sean Allen and Dominic Ferraris. What about yourself, Stairs?
Yeah, I think the first race battle for the podium was my highlight of the night. It was a shame for Sean Allen and Thomas Vermeulen that they couldn't have got the results that they probably deserved. But to finish first you must finish, and the same goes for finishing second and third.
Absolutely.
So, with that in mind, we've got to close out tonight's stream. But of course, don't forget to tune in a few weeks' time, on the 7th of April, for the very next round, the Simmons Plains round in Tasmania. In the meantime, you can give us a like on Facebook, Automobilista Supercars Championship, or our very own page, Madbird, the Apex Rear Wing Facebook page. You can also check us out on Patreon, and do check out the ASC website, asc.rocksolidmates.com, and you can get all sorts of information related to the Automobilista Supercars Championship if you so desire. That's pretty much all we have time for, Madbird. We're going to wrap it up now, and we will see you in a few weeks' time.
Can't wait. See you then.